Imagine being thrown into a twisted survival game, and your very first reaction is to completely wreck the system with your bare fists. No magic needed, no fancy special skills, just pure raw brute force capable of imploding an entire tower. Before becoming just another player, Asura was the absolute martial god, but after uniting the world, he was ruthlessly backstabbed by the people he trusted the most, with his soul banished to some unknown dimension. A cocky system thought it could force him to start all over from zero. The catch? The King of Fists couldn't care less about the rules. If monsters and armies try to take him down, he absolutely flattens every single one of them. And if the walls of the tower try to box him in, he's going to literally punch reality in the face to get his payback. Forget about levels. Get ready for the awakening of pure walking destruction. Gathered on a battlefield, a bunch of soldiers are gearing up for war. Right after that, the war kicks off. Bodies go flying and hit the dirt all over the battlefield. The story takes place right here in the supreme Merem world. Right as the peak of martial arts, there was a man who unified the entire world, and his name was Asura, the Fist King. Standing before him, a general calls him crazy, asking if Asura came all the way there just to die. The general warns him that no matter how strong he is, he can't stop an army of 100,000 all by himself. Turning slowly, Asura asks what an army of 100,000 even means. He wants to know what kind of importance a mere number like that could possibly have. Then Asura says the general is still playing his filthy little games, and that's exactly why he'll never be defeated by him. Irritated, the old man screams that Asura has no limits, and the general orders his men to kill him. Alone and without a single weapon, his martial power was immense, enough to crush his enemies, taking everyone down. Asura beats the living daylights out of everyone with ease. With monstrous strength, he creates craters with his punches, worthy of being called the strongest, killing all the soldiers and creating his own kingdom. In the first year, the Asura kingdom, he managed to unite the world as one. Finally, peace arrives in the capital of the Asura kingdom, the city of Manhwa, way out there in the mountains. Everyone bows, and Miyawol congratulates her lord. Speaking a bit about his past, Miyawol says that after defeating so many enemies and unifying the lands, there's nothing left to conquer here. But Asura tells Miyawol to get straight to the point, wanting to know why he was called to this place. Miyawol answers that, as the Lord knows, he was the only king to unify the central lands using only pure martial power. She says that for her lord, the greatest Fist King, even the title of martial god isn't that big of a deal anymore. So, she offers a secret manual worthy of his majesty. Miyawol brought him there for this, revealing an artifact, chained up and covered in blood. Miyawol says that only Asura can handle the power contained in the manual. Surprised by the artifact, our MC reaches out his hand toward the secret manual. Getting close to the artifact, the blood inside it jumps out at him. But then, everything goes calm. Without him noticing, dozens of chains fly right at him, catching our main guy by surprise. The chains wrap around his body, trapping him. Confused, his eyes go wide as he realizes it's a trap, but he tries to resist with all his strength. Standing before him, Miyawol and her followers reveal the betrayal, saying Asura's leadership ends there and the Asura kingdom will be ruled by her. Hearing all this, our MC stays silent, just staring at Miyawol with pure hatred. With a cold look, Miyawol starts telling him to just accept his fate. Breaking the chains with brute force, our MC asks if Miyawol forgot who he is, declaring himself to be destruction personified. Desperate, Miyawol asks what they are doing and orders them to open the barrier of the celestial abyss immediately. With crazy speed, our guy attacks Miyawol, who is left completely in shock. Just when he was about to land a punch on her, he realizes something is wrong, that the damn artifact has tracked him. Suddenly, a symbol appears on the ground, pulling our MC right inside it. Seeing her reflection in a pool of blood, Miyawol observes the result. Standing before the artifact, Miyawol and her allies just stand there. Kneeling down, the followers congratulate their new queen. And then, everyone hails Miyawol as the new queen of the Asura kingdom. And just like that, the Fist King, Asura, who once ruled the world, meets his end. Suddenly, a little system window pops up, asking if you would like to participate as a player, but the window starts glitching, showing only question marks. Next, the system apologizes and insists the player hurry up and accept the invitation. He throws a punch, simply smashing the screen into pieces. Confused, a boy wonders what in the world just happened. Sensing something sinister, he doesn't understand what that was. Out of nowhere, a giant red dragon appears and someone screams for Yuta to watch out. Yuta, without wasting time, blocks a powerful strike with his sword and jumps away to safety. The monster prepares an infernal breath with a casting time at 2 seconds. Yuta notices the attack that is about to hit. The monster attacks with a burst of fire, dealing 3,000 to 6,000 damage. But his skill, Climber's strategy, starts analyzing the attack, reaching 85%. Completing the analysis, his skill activates a counterattack, granting 150% fire resistance for a minute and a half. Protecting himself with the sword, he manages to completely nullify the fire blast. Right after that, our little MC jumps toward the monster, activating his technique, the sacred sword of Asterion. Then, heavenly judgment descends from the skies like a sword of light, destroying everything, now leaving 9 out of 10 heavenly judgments available. Hit directly, the monster screams in pain as its body starts getting sliced up. With that, the mission is complete, confirming he defeated the boss of floor 998, the infernal Balrog. The final mission appears, saying he must reach the top of the tower to complete the achievement. Yuta sighs in relief, admitting that was a close call. Worried, the little fairy asks what's wrong, but our boy just keeps looking around. Floating nearby, she reminds him that now only the top of the tower is left. With the tower in the background, she asks them to finish this quickly so they can see their families. Agreeing, Yuta says she's right and that they're going to do this. Reflecting on his journey, Yuta thinks about how it's been 3 years since he was summoned, getting this far with the sole goal of conquering the tower. But now, with only the top remaining, he feels strangely uneasy. The boy asks himself what could possibly be waiting for him on the other side. Seeing his silence, the fairy calls him by his name. Placing his hand on the door, Yuta tries to compose himself and focus on what needs to be done. Opening the door, he decides to enter, and the little fairy asks if he's okay. Confident, our little MC believes that no matter what waits on the last floor, there's no monster capable of surpassing his stats. But in that moment, something happens. Before his eyes, a shadowy monster appears. But it wasn't a monster. This person was Asura, who, confused, just mutters something. Staring at Yuta, Asura asks what they are, leaving the boy totally confused. The boy is left stunned, while the little fairy, scared, asks herself if he's a gorilla. Then, Yuta wonders if that guy is the final boss. Meanwhile, Asura looks around, wondering what kind of place this is. Yuta notes that the monster is capable of speech, which means it has some level of intelligence. Drawing his sword, the boy tells himself not to be fooled by appearances, because that is the tower's final boss. Preparing for combat, he decides he's going to put an end to this right now. Seeing the attack coming his way, Asura simply dodges. Without hesitating, Yuta charges with his sword, ready to attack again. With a quick strike, he hits Asura's chest. With the final blow, Yuta says this is the end. Using the sacred sword of Asterion, Yuta launches heavenly judgment. After the attack, there are now 8 out of 10 heavenly judgments left. With a smirk, our MC thinks the final boss is way weaker than he expected. Except Asura grabs the blade with his bare hand and asks the kid what he thinks he's doing. Confused, the boy can't believe his ultimate attack was stopped. Asura throws him back, leaving him wondering if this is because he's the final boss. The climber's strategy starts analyzing the target's weakness. With the analysis complete, the skill starts aiming at the weak points, but the probability of the strategy's success is only 87.86%. But Asura simply blocks the blade and tells the boy to stop. Holding the sword, Asura stares at Yuta while the system displays error messages. Soon, a critical error occurs in the climber's strategy. The probability of success plummets rapidly. Now, the chance of victory is merely 0.43%. Desperate, Yuta realizes the success probability is less than 1%, something that has never happened before. The boy asks himself where the hell this guy is. While a demonic energy surges behind Asura, Asura tells the kid not to be so terrified. And then he says he doesn't bother fighting those who aren't worth his time, leaving Yuta confused. Yuta can't believe what he just heard. Asura says that with the boy's current skill level, he wouldn't waste even a single punch on him. With a serious look, Asura asks what place this is. Laughing, Yuta realizes that heavenly judgment and climber's strategy didn't work because this stage was made to prove his strength from the very beginning. He'll only deal damage if he shows his true worth. He says he didn't know there was a hidden trick like that, and that he's going to show and prove his worth. Activating his unique skill, Chosen Hero, all his stats will be maximized for a short time. Preparing his attack, Yuta says this is the maximum the system of stats can grant, and he activates his skill. Opening his status window, Yuta reveals he's at level 99 with all his attributes, including HP and MP, maxed out at 999. Yuta charges right at him. Just when he's about to land the blow, his status screen pops up. Asura looks at Yuta's status screen and gets surprised by the numbers, clenching his fist to punch him. Furious, he goes on the attack and tells the boy to bring everything he's got. Screaming, Yuta comes in with his maxed out attack, but Asura attacks first, leaving Yuta with no time to react. With a single punch, he destroys the screen, and on top of that throws Yuta far away. Screaming in despair, Yuta sees his status window destroyed, just watching it turn into dust. With several error messages popping up, the system informs that it suffered critical damage. The attack was so strong it broke the dungeon wall. Amidst so many glitches, the system says the storage has disappeared. It still tried to recover something. The system had no other option, so it shut down. Standing before Yuta, Asura asks if he understands true strength now. And so it shall be. Asura is going to end everything. Yuta is terrified of Asura, and he starts crying, saying he was wrong. 3 years ago, Yuta was summoned to an unknown tower. Climbing the tower with many companions, he ended up being the only survivor. Alone, Yuta asks Nova if he can really go back home if he conquers the tower. Reflecting, he says the more he thinks about it, the weirder it all seems, wondering why they would climb the tower without guarantees. Nova responds that, like Yuta said, maybe it is impossible to return, even if they climb the tower. But she reminds him that the goddess Ashua said everything in the tower has a purpose. Nova guarantees that because of this, Yuta's journey will certainly have meaning. Back in the present, Asura warns the kid that the tedious number games end there. Fallen on the ground, Yuta remains exhausted and defeated. Seeing his level 1 status, he admits with a bitter smile that he ruined everything. Still sitting, Yuta desperately tries to access the status window. He screams for the inventory and the quest window. Unable to believe the status window actually disappeared, the boy tries to reboot the system. Watching the scene, Asura calls him pathetic. With a look of contempt, Asura says those disgusting blue windows are never appearing again. Shaking with fear, Yuta begs Asura to spare him, but Asura says that, like he said before, he has no interest in killing someone. Then, he gets closer and asks again what kind of place this is. Standing before Yuta, Asura waits for an answer. With a serious look, Asura asks what he must do to return to his world. Yuta realizes Asura is also a player and answers that he doesn't know how to go back. And then the boy explains that, other than clearing the final stage, there is no other way. Confused, Asura asks the meaning of final stage. Yuta wonders what kind of guy this is, questioning if he came from the ancient past. Trying to explain simply, the boy sits down in front of Asura. He sums it up in one word: Asura needs to clear the entire tower. And then explaining that it's necessary to clear the whole tower from the first floor to the top without leaving anything behind. Yuta suggests that if Asura is also a player, he should start slowly with the missions, thinking the task is simple. But Asura, laughing, says that in that case, he's gonna crush this damn tower right now. Desperate, Yuta tries to explain that wasn't what he meant by clear. With one punch, Asura hits the tower floor. With the shockwave from the punch, the entire tower starts crumbling to pieces. Worried, Yuta can only think, what the hell is this? While the tower collapses, the boy screams, asking why on earth Asura is destroying a tower. A system error message informs that the tower was destroyed by an abnormal entity. Amidst the debris, Yuta falls. He asks himself who that guy is who destroyed the tower with his bare hands, and how that is even possible. In the middle of the fall, Nova screams Yuta's name. Seeing the destruction, she goes to help Yuta. Nova flies over to hold her friend. Grabbing him, she pulls him to a safe place. Relieved, Yuta asks where she's been, while Nova apologizes for the delay, explaining she went to get his sword. She says that, more importantly, they need to get out of there. Confused, Yuta asks what could be bigger than the current situation. Something appears behind them. Suddenly, the system detects an illegal access. A purple black hole emerges, sucking in everything around it. The system informs it is deleting all data from the destroyed tower. He doesn't really understand what is happening very well. Getting stronger, the boy realizes if he gets caught, he's going to die. The system warns that the recycle bin is almost full, and the data that wasn't deleted is leaking out. While all this is happening, Asura is just standing there, not understanding what is going on in this place. He asks if he ended up crushing something. Our MC asks why nothing is happening. Yuta gets angry and screams that this isn't clearing the tower, and he asks if Asura is going to keep breaking things. Running toward him, something happens. A pillar of purple energy appears out of nowhere. A woman emerges, saying she thought a successor had appeared, but it was just an unwanted guest. Shocked, Asura can't believe what he sees. With a magic circle behind her, our MC recognizes her as Manhwa. With a look of disdain, Manhwa asks if he was the one who destroyed her tower. Grinding his teeth in fury, he charges at her, saying so. This is where she was hiding, but with a simple gesture. With immense power, she throws him against the ground, creating a crater. Watching the scene, Yuta screams, shocked by her strength. Asura, irritated, asks if she didn't hear him, but she repeats the question, wanting to know if he was the one who destroyed the tower. Yuta can't believe she stopped that monster. Then, he wonders if the goddess Ashua that Nova mentioned could be that person. Pressed against the ground, Asura drags himself up, and then he says she is certainly different from the Manhwa he knows. Standing up, he wonders if, judging by the way she talks, she was the one who built that damn tower. With a smile, Asura asks if the disgusting number games were also her work. Very confident, he says he cleared everything she ordered. As for the damn tower and the number games, therefore, she has to take him to his world. She says she had fun with the situation. Laughing hard, she asks who told him that lie. Yuta is paralyzed by what he just heard, and she says since he's so excited, he can destroy everything. It won't change a thing. If he manages to destroy everything she created, she'll think about sending him to the other world. But it won't be easy. The system appears, saying some data from the recycle bin was recovered, and some puppet players are appearing. Yuta wonders what all this is. The kid sees all his dead friends. She warns that they now need to destroy other things, making more towers, but she, with her arm glowing purple, stares at him with contempt. And then, the mysterious woman asks what that piece of trash is. Watching the scene, Asura observes the new opponent, curious about what will happen. Standing in the middle of the destruction, our MC prepares for the next confrontation. With a sadistic look, Mayo warns it won't be easy. And then she explains that from now on, the towers he needs to destroy. Rising from the ground, several of his old companions reappear, wrapped in a purple aura. She says there are plenty of towers just like that one, but our MC sees one of his resurrected companions calling him by his name. Screaming in a distorted way, the puppet calls everyone to climb the tower quickly. Meanwhile, Mio Wool says that no matter what power someone has, the balance of the world won't be easily broken. With fury, our boy charges at Mio Wool, unleashing a strike. But that strike doesn't do anything to her. He says, "What is this piece of trash?" Our little MC asks what she is doing. Indignant, he remembers those were the companions who risked their lives with him to climb that tower. Furious, the boy asks how she dares treat them that way, but she just throws him away, and she says, "Isn't it obvious? They are just toys for the perfect world." Revealing everything, she made them climb the tower through virtual missions. She says she has no more business with him since he has no strength left anyway. Preparing an attack, Mio Wool orders the player to disappear. Crying in frustration, our boy curses. He kind of felt the weight of the guilt. He stands up, saying he never should have climbed that tower, thinking that if he were a little stronger, he could have killed that woman. Suddenly, her hand is ripped off. Asura attacks the villain, ripping her arm off even more. Mio Wool wonders what that was. Standing over our little MC, Asura admits he misjudged him. With a smile, he asks how the boy dares to touch his prey before him. Stuttering, the MC calls him old man, but Asura interrupts him, saying his courage is admirable, saying he will be the only one to rip her head off. With a punch, he slams her hard into the ground. Holding the woman by the neck, Asura smiles, but Maiwol praises him, thinking it's incredible he has so much power without the system's help, but she warns she won't let that power run wild. Seeing his body getting paralyzed, he gets annoyed and asks what trick that is. Close to him, Maiwol whispers a request for him to conquer all the towers of that world. With a magic portal opening, she warns she'll be waiting for him at the highest point of all, and then she disappears. Another version of Maiwol asks him to conquer all the countries of that world. Asura thinks that, no matter how much he reflects, that woman looks just like the other one. Questioning the heavens, he asks why Maiwol sent him to a place like this. Out of nowhere, one of the puppets of his old companions charges with a sword. Quickly, our boy blocks the attack. Screaming, the MC calls out their names and asks if they don't recognize him. Soon, Nova appears and warns it's no use, because even if they recognize him, it's just an old memory response. Trying to resist, the boy doesn't know what to do. Suddenly, Asura appears and punches the puppet in the head. Azura warns they don't have time to fight against scrubs. Looking seriously at the MC, he orders him to lead the way, fast, to where those damn towers are. Our boy tries to protest, saying those people are his companions and they can't just abandon them there. Annoyed, Asura asks if those things really look like companions to him. He says they are nothing but vengeful spirits of the dead. Then he warns that if the kid wants to get sentimental, he can stay there playing pretend with ghosts for the rest of his life. The puppets all jump together to attack Asura. With simple strikes, Asura finishes them off. He grumbles, questioning how those damn ghosts dare to block his path. Then Asura decides he's going to blow them all away. Using the Fist King style, Asura prepares a strike, but something weird happens with his attack. Asura realizes he can't feel his energy and wonders if she sealed his Dantian. He finds the situation funny and gets irritated that she dared to test him like that, but he guarantees that no matter what she does, nothing can stop the king. He breaks them using pure brute force. Jumping between them, Asura clenches his fist and decides he's going to warm up for the first time in a long while. With incredible speed, he knocks the enemies all over the place. Yuta admits that, as expected, that man is a monster. He notices a worrying detail in the fight, seeing the puppet players regenerating from a purple mist. With that, he concludes that if the fight doesn't end soon, even Asura is going to end up exhausted. Decided, our boy draws his sword, resolving that he needs to help him. Appearing suddenly, Nova screams for Yuta to calm down. Worried, she warns that with his stats zeroed out, if he keeps using the sacred sword like that, his body won't handle it. Replying that he knows that, our MC says if he doesn't do this, everyone is going to die. One of his female companions calls out to him and asks him to climb the tower. With a strike, he pierces the puppet's head. He says that if he retreats now, he won't be able to avenge his dead companions. No matter what happens, he's going to find the woman who did this to him and his friends. Screaming for Asura. He asks if Asura can handle what's coming without dodging. Asura grumbles about the cheeky brat. He gets furious, questioning how that kid dares to give him orders. Seeing the plan work, our MC confirms that all the puppet's attention has been drawn to Asura. Jumping over the horde, he announces that this is his chance. Focusing on the empty faces of two of his old companions, he starts to cry, apologizing to them for everything. And then, he promises that he will definitely get revenge for all of them. Using the sacred sword, our little MC unleashes heavenly judgment. Immediately, a pillar of light explodes from the ground. With arms crossed, Asura calls the boy an arrogant brat. Fallen on his knees, our MC hears Asura admit that he is actually pretty useful after all. Panting, the boy warns Asura to keep one thing in mind. The one who will kill that woman won't be him. Our little MC says he will be the one responsible for the revenge. Right after that, he faints from exhaustion, but Asura catches him. Laughing, Asura calls him less than dust and gets indignant about how he dares to give him orders twice. Seeing the boy passed out, he says he's going to give him a reward. Asura promises that if he ever becomes stronger, he'll give him the chance to kill her. Looking out at a vast landscape, he says he eagerly awaits that day. Far away from there, a boot appears. Standing on a cliff, a new warrior observes the horizon, showing his sinister energy coming off him. In the middle of a canyon, Asura tries to sense his internal energy, and he opens his eyes. Standing up, he punches the rock in front of him, which completely shatters it. With a smile, he recognizes Mayawell's audacity for daring to seal his dantian. He says that since things have reached this point, he has no other choice. And then, he kicks Yuta right in the back. Thrown far away, Yuta recovers quickly. Gripping his sword with rage, he calls him a gorilla. But Asura doesn't give a damn and warns him that he still hasn't learned his lesson. Asura says he doesn't have time to mess around and that he needs to destroy the towers as fast as possible. Yuta asks why he would go around destroying towers with him, suggesting they should focus on finding the woman. Asura yells, calling him a fool and asking if he still doesn't get it. He says that wretch is undoubtedly hiding inside a tower and that the world is made only of the tower she created. He concludes that if they crush every tower in the world, they'll definitely find her and kill her. Yuta replies that he understands, but still asks why he has to tag along. Whispering, Nova warns Yuta that this man is way too dangerous. Worried, she reminds him that he destroyed the status window without thinking twice. Asura turns around and asks what the brat is whispering about. Arms crossed, Asura says it's not like he enjoys traveling with them, but the kid's swordsmanship seemed useful. Yuta says that Asura is just like him since he's also trying to kill that woman. Turning sideways, he says that having said that, it's impossible to kill her with the weak physical body the boy has. He announces that from this moment on, he's going to strengthen their bodies. Soon, a tower appears in the middle of a forest, and Asura says they've finally arrived. Looking up, he wonders if that is one of the towers she created. With a sideways glance, he praises Nova, saying she's grown quite a bit in the last few days. And then, he admits that with her current physique, she might be some small help. Thanking him, Nova performs a martial salute, calling Asura master. During the training, Asura says she has talent and with more time could even train her internal energy, but she thanks him, saying it's all thanks to his teachings. Back to the scene, Asura looks at the forest and wonders when that brat is going to arrive. Seeing Nova showing off her muscles, he thinks how pathetic it is to be inferior to his own servant. Stumbling, Yuta says he's coming and asks for a second. In a flashback, the boy complains about the lunatics, wondering how they expect him to run while carrying a log. With an exhausted face, he asks himself if this is some kind of military boot camp. He gets shocked and questions if she took steroids. Yuta almost faints at Asura's feet. Looking down with contempt, Asura calls him a pathetic brat. Looking at the tower, he comments on its bizarre appearance. Nova asks the master if they are going to enter now, but Asura replies he doesn't see anything that looks like an entrance. With a smile, he says no entrance is necessary for his disciple. He says he's just gonna destroy the whole tower. Excited, Nova screams that that's her master. Yuta asks them to wait a minute and think about this more carefully. Ignoring the warning, Asura charges and prepares to punch the tower. The system displays error messages, stating a fatal error has occurred, stopping Asura's attack mid-swing. Immediately, the system informs that a forced transport to the tower's interior has been initiated. Screaming, everyone gets sucked in. Being pulled in, Yuta asks if he lost his mind, saying he warned him to think calmly first. Suddenly, they drop into the middle of a modern city, and a purple portal appears. Standing up, Asura wonders what those ugly buildings are. Yuta asks where they are, while Nova, back to her small form, complains that her muscles disappeared. Recognizing the place, he questions if this is a city. Terrified, Nova points at something and calls Yuta's attention. Seeing various player bodies scattered around, Yuta wonders why there are so many bodies there. Concluding that this isn't the world he used to live in, he wonders where the hell they are. Just then a mysterious voice calls out to him, asking him to answer its call. From the bodies on the ground, purple energy starts to emanate. Asura observes the scene, standing amidst the corpses. With a ball of energy forming in the sky, he realizes the souls of the dead are gathering in a single place. Flying within the energy, a man appears, finding the situation intriguing. And then, he asks himself if those are the newly summoned players. Looking at them, the man warns them not to try and resist. Only one can reach the top of that tower, while Asura stares him down. With a gesture of his hand in purple flames, the man declares that someone is him. Soon, a giant skeleton called the Spectre King appears from the flames. Yuta asks if that is a skeleton, but quickly realizes it's something on a totally different level. With glowing eyes, the creature prepares to attack. Seeing the monster charge, Yuta screams for Asura to get out of the way. But Asura, with a smile, asks if he just called a mere monster like that a danger. With a single punch, he stops the skeleton. The impact of the blow is so strong it creates a shockwave, destroying everything around it. Asura calls the creature a pathetic piece of trash. Staring at the man, he criticizes him for facing him with so little, calling him arrogant. Asura accuses him of being a coward. With a dark look, the man wonders if he is really hiding, but several shadowy creatures appear by his side. The man says he'll see how long they can survive. Quickly, the shadowy creatures attack. Asura repeats the word test, finding the situation ridiculous. Raising just his arm, he throws the monster into the wall. A new monster emerges from the shadows. Using energy chains, the creature manages to bind Asura's arms. Surprised, Asura looks at the chains and lets out a hung. Right after, a monstrous beast appears, attacking him, but the creature gets attacked. With a bloody mouth, the monster is killed, and Asura cracks a smile. Seeing this, the man focuses and starts summoning more minions. Then, the system announces the conjuring of soldiers. Asura stomps on the ground, throwing the minions into the air. But out of nowhere, a muscular monster appears, running toward him. Without any effort, Asura stops the creature with a single punch. The man summons once again, bringing specters from the ground. Completely fed up, Asura looks around and asks what is happening. With a confused look, the enemy stares at Asura, admitting he can't understand the situation. The man says he can't feel any stats or skills coming from Asura. Analyzing, he wonders how someone like Asura can have so much power. Drawing a sword, he decides to find out for himself. He says he doesn't need an answer, since he'll simply absorb Asura's soul and verify it personally. He launches the Extinction Mark, a devastating attack that cuts the sky, and a strong wind rushes toward them. Confused, Yuta wonders what kind of insane destructive power that is. Seeing the man from behind, he questions what kind of guy that is. Nova screams for Yuta to run immediately. Explaining her fears, she says that doesn't look like a player anymore. She realizes he is emanating power identical to Goddess Eshwa. As soon as the battle dust settles, the city goes completely silent. Standing by the rubble, the man wonders if that was finally the last soul. Surrounded by the remains of the monsters, he says Asura was a troublesome opponent, but with his defeat, the contract with Goddess Eshwa is concluded. Gathering energy in his hand, he addresses a nameless player, but a system window displays the soul absorption authority. Declaring his intentions, he warns he will put his soul to good use. But amidst the smoke, Asura appears, repeating the word goddess. He asks if the man is referring to the wretched woman who sealed his dantian. The enemy stares at Asura, threatening him with a look. Asura orders the guy to say where the woman is. With a slight smile, the man agrees, having already imagined the fight wouldn't end so easily. Except several energy swords appear around him, and he warns Asura not to be fooled, because the one dying in that tower won't be him. Pointing all the blades, he declares that it will be Asura who dies. Easily defending the attack, Asura dodges all the swords with his arms, and he stops one of the blades with just 2 fingers. Right after, he hurls the sword back with absurd force. Taken by surprise, the man is shocked to see the sword graze his head. The sword smashes the building behind him. Letting out a laugh, the enemy says Asura is a truly absurd individual. Holding his sword, he acknowledges that he won't deny Asura's strength anymore. Activating his authority, dark armor begins to materialize on his body, the armor of Hades. Charging forward, the man, now fully equipped, goes right at Asura. In the blink of an eye, the two face off. With a manic smile, the opponent challenges Asura to withstand his next attack. Then he launches a powerful slash, but Asura dodges. Asura asks if that's all the Brett has to show, screaming that it's not over yet. Jumping, he spins and prepares a downward attack. Asura agrees he's right and that the fight is far from over. With one punch, Asura creates an explosion in the city. Coming out of the smoke, the man starts to prepare again. Laughing, he admits Asura is really strong. Changing the subject, the enemy asks Asura if he was really looking for the goddess. Revealing the connection, he tells him it was the goddess herself who gave him that tower. Except he admits he hasn't obtained full authority of the tower yet. Explaining the plan, he reveals he made a contract with Eshua to offer 10,000 player souls, and thus be reborn as the true successor of the tower. He grabs Nova suddenly and announces he has finally acquired the last soul. Desperate, Yuta screams for Nova, wondering when the hell the enemy captured her. Furious, he calls him a bastard and demands to know what he is doing with her. When he tries to help her, a monster pierces his stomach. Spitting blood, Yuta hears the villain say it's useless to try and stop him. The enemy declares there is nothing more our boy can do. Then, a system window confirms that the mission's succession ritual has acquired the 10,000th and final soul. Immediately after, the system warns that the tower's full authority will be unlocked in a little over a minute. Observing everything, Asura says that looking closely, the guy is a spirit master who manipulates vengeful spirits. He recalls that in his kingdom, there are also those who use such low arts, calling him scum. Gathering energy in his hand, Asura says he wouldn't normally use such filthy arts, but since the enemy crossed the line, he's going to show how it's done. Announcing he will show the power of true spirit arts, Asura concentrates a sphere of energy in the palm of his hand. Suddenly, all the purple souls the enemy had gathered get sucked toward Asura, leaving the man completely shocked. Unable to believe it, he asks himself if the souls he gathered with so much effort are being stolen right in front of him. Fallen on the ground, Asura grabs Yuta's soul. Transferring the energy to our MC and Nova, Asura frees them and tells the brats to let loose as much as they want. With eyes glowing with new power, Nova hears Asura say that from now on, it's their turn. Completely energized, Yuta receives the final order from Asura, telling him to crush that miserable bastard. Pulling the souls to himself, Asura leaves the enemy in disbelief, wondering how that bastard is stealing everything. Something like that shouldn't be allowed by the system. Seeing the energy wrap around him, Yuta gets confused, understanding nothing. In a panic, he asks himself what is happening, and if by any chance he already died. Turning to Asura, our boy accuses him of doing that and demands his body back immediately. Calling him a fool, Asura asks who he thinks he's blaming, and warns that if he had stayed in that state, his body would have already been destroyed. Explaining the situation, he says the reason the souls left their bodies wasn't his fault, but that bastard who used spirit arts. So, to block the enemy, he took the arts for himself and separated the souls from the flesh, allowing the bodies to recover slowly, then tells the boy to stop talking and obey. With a smile, he reveals he stole a good chunk of the souls the adversary controlled, so the guy isn't such a big deal anymore. Still kind of uncertain, our MC thinks that even with the power of spirit arts, he doesn't feel like much has changed. Ordering the brats to go, Asura yells for them to clearly show the real thing. Hearing that, the man mocks them, asking if Asura thinks he isn't worth much just because he stole a few souls. Full of himself, he tells Asura to stop talking nonsense. Summoning more minions, he admits he doesn't know how the souls were stolen, and then he warns that the ones taken are nothing, just a drop in the ocean. Finding it absurd that just 2 people would try to face him with his horde. Laughing out loud, Asura calls him a fool for still judging strength based on numbers. Charging in, Yuta, now strengthened, attacks one of the monsters with his sword. With one strike, the creature is cut in half. and then he finishes the monster with a slash. Seeing an energy slash pass by him, the man stands there in shock. He wonders what power that is and where the hell it came from. Confused, he remembers that a moment ago, Yuta was on the brink of death. Meanwhile, the city comes into view. Just then, some monsters controlled by the villain appear, ready to attack. Seeing a giant monster approaching, Nova freezes with fear. Screaming her name, Yuta despairs, asking if she still hasn't regained consciousness. With the monster about to attack, Nova remains still, eyes white. Suddenly her eyes glow with an intense light. Firing a beam of energy, she explodes the creature's head into pieces. The monster's body is completely disintegrated by the devastating attack. Looking at her own hand, Nova gets confused and lets out a hun. Observing the scene, Asura also seems a bit surprised by what just happened. Worried, Yuta runs to her and asks if she's okay. Nova says she thinks she got stronger thanks to the spirit arts, but he warns that if they keep fighting like this, it won't end well. Soon, a new horde of skeletal creatures heads in their direction. Calmly, Asura just watches the enemies approach in silence. Meanwhile, the man focuses his attention on a system window glowing in front of him. Asura warns that to stop the enemy, they first need to destroy that disgusting window. Except he explains that since his Dantian is sealed, he can't use an energy blast, which makes the task of breaking the window pretty hard. Yuta says there must be a way since Asura managed to use spirit arts even with a sealed Dantian. Agreeing, Asura explains that using external chi is nothing to him. Looking at Nova, he says that if he has enough chi, he can produce power equivalent to his blast technique, and that her chi is quite interesting. He turns to Nova and orders the brat to offer up her soul to him, leaving her confused. While the destroyed city fills with dust, Asura's plan begins to unfold. Meanwhile, the enemy system displays a warning that the number of souls required for the mission is insufficient. Then, a new instruction appears, ordering him to acquire more souls to complete the mission. Irritated, the man complains that, because of those worms, the souls he needed for the mission are being wasted. Gritting his teeth, he decides he can simply gather the souls again, and that eliminating them comes first. Extending his hand, he summons his souls, ordering everyone to answer his call. He sends his minions to sweep away all the enemies. Seeing the horde approaching, Asura tells Yuta they only have one chance. He tells the boy to trust him, use everything he has, and clear a path so he can reach the enemy. Determined, Yuta replies that it's not about trusting Asura, but that he will clear a path for himself and for Nova. Screaming, he charges with his sword. Activating the sacred sword of Asterion, he unleashes a powerful heavenly cut. Seeing the scene, the enemy mocks them, calling them fools for wasting all their power just to clear the army. With an evil smile, he screams that it's useless because the attack is far from enough to deal with all the souls he gathered. But Asura, emerging from the shadows, calls him a coward and says everything went as expected. Explaining his plan, Asura reveals that every time one of the spirits was destroyed, he watched the enemy pull up the blue window to check the status. Concentrating energy in his fist, Asura declares that the enemy's annoying spirit arts, and right there, seeing Asura's fist heading straight for the system window, the man screams in despair, destroying everything. Just then, the status window of the enemy, Lee Chan-woo, level 99, starts to crack. Then, with the sound of breaking glass, the window shatters. Lee Chan-woo screams that it can't be, and that something like this shouldn't be possible. Seeing everything he built being destroyed, he refuses to accept defeat. Desperate, he laments the loss of his status window, his power, and finally, he screams with hatred, mourning the loss of his world. Immediately, the system displays an error message, announcing that the data of the souls registered in the system has been damaged. The system informs that all souls will be permanently deleted. And then, the final confirmation appears. The mission succession ritual failed. Falling to the ground, Yuta grumbles in pain. Feeling his original body, he wonders if he's back to normal. Clutching his chest, he realizes everything is in place. He thinks about how his body recovered exactly as Asura said, and wonders what the true identity of that guy is. Looking at Asura, our boy wonders just how far his limits go. The enemy screams, grabbing his head with his hands. Unable to accept reality, he begs for it not to be true, saying it can't end like this. Blaming the group, Lee Chan-woo screams that all of this is because of those bastards. Then, with eyes red with fury, he bellows that the only way to save the world he lived in from destruction has been completely lost because of them. The regressor starts panicking and realizes things just can't end this way. A hulking dude glares at the group and tells them this whole mess is completely on them. Foaming at the mouth with anger, the regressor yells that the group ruined his one and only chance to save his world. The scene shifts, and the MC is standing frozen in the middle of total chaos, surrounded by screams. He takes off his headphones and realizes things outside have gotten seriously intense. Looking up at the sky, he comes face to face with several purple portals opening up right over the city. The main guy freezes in pure terror, totally clueless about what to do next. In seconds, the city turns into a giant pile of rubble under a cloud of explosions and smoke. In the middle of the wreckage, only the injured are left behind, like a man and a little girl. There are people down everywhere, showing just how bad the damage really was. Right in the middle of the ruined street, the MC collapses to his knees, completely in shock. He's sweating bullets and can't even move a muscle looking at all that devastation. Suddenly, a mysterious woman pops up right in front of him with a floating blue screen. The scene cuts, and now the crew is grilling the MC about this whole destroyed world story. The regressor wants to know if the main guy is also a player from another world, and why his world just ended out of nowhere. He explains that the second he became a player, a huge horde of monsters wiped his world right off the map. He says he was desperate to save his people and figured his shiny new powers would get the job done. Driven by that obsession, he climbed all the way to the top of the tower and found out the real deal. He spills the beans that whoever beats the tower gets the power to create a brand new world. Create a new world? The MC repeats, totally in disbelief. The regressor confirms he used the prize to try and rebuild what he lost right there inside the tower. He yells that he just wanted to protect everyone now that he was finally strong enough. He clenches his fist tight, but his tough guy expression quickly deflates. Super annoyed, he shouts that the group ruined everything, and that the mission would have been a wrap if nobody had meddled. The big guy cuts him off, telling him to quit whining and calling him a total coward. He asks how the regressors was supposed to save anyone if he bolted when things got rough, accusing the guy of never actually caring about his people. The hulking dude drops a truth bomb. He didn't want to save anyone. He just wanted to play God in a numbers game. He turns his back and scoffs, asking what's the point of creating a make-believe world inside the tower anyway. The guy glances sideways and says that since the other dude is already feeling down, he's going to hit him with some truth. He gives it to him straight. The regressors just wanted to run away from his own weakness so he could play the hero. The regressor totally loses it and screams at him to shut his mouth. Blinded by rage, he charges right in for an attack. But the big guy stops him with just one hand and lands a straight punch right to his face. Right after that, there's a huge flash of energy and a massive explosion. Knocked down and totally battered, he tries to justify himself, swearing his real intention was to save everyone. We did a flashback where the tower guide congratulates the guy for beating all the challenges. She offers him a choice: go back to his world before the tragedy happened and face the monsters head on. He weighs the offer, thinking about the chance to actually rescue his people. The other option would be a special mission to inherit the tower's power and recreate his world inside of it. The guide looks him dead in the eye and asks what he's going to decide. She sums up the dilemma: face an endless war out there, or create a personal paradise right in the tower. She asks if he wants to be the savior, and the regressor starts chewing on the idea. He then decides he's going to inherit the tower's power to save his world his own way. Out of nowhere, an alarm goes off warning that the system has collapsed and all the data is being wiped out. The MC gets spooked and his partner frantically asks if the tower is coming down. She goes into full-blown panic mode, but the hulking dude casually mentions that Isha had already given them a heads up about this. The main guy is totally lost, having no clue what is going on. The big guy reveals that all the towers in this world end up in the exact same place. The MC tries to piece together what this unique path Eshia mentioned could be, but he draws a blank. He figures out that if he goes all the way to the end of this route, he's definitely going to run into Eshia there. He lets him know that if the MC wants to find the girl, this is the only way to go. The dude with the glasses finds it weird and asks what route this is and why the big guy decided to spill the beans just now. The regressor says he remembered something he was trying to ignore and that now everything makes sense. He finally admits the big guy was right. He's nothing but a coward running away from reality. He accepts that regret won't do him any good, seeing as he threw away his chance to go back to his world. Because of that, he decides there's no point sticking around in this empty make-believe world he whipped up. He points to the exit and tells the crew to bounce before the tower collapses and the portal vanishes. The hulking dude gets that he's staying behind and mentions that, coward or not, he isn't pathetic and has the right to call his own shots at the end. As they leave, he even promises to think about setting up a memorial for the guy. But the girl gets totally frantic at the thought of leaving him behind to meet his end. The MC yells too, insisting the regressor should tag along with them to find Eshia. The big guy tells him to zip it, saying the MC doesn't get it and that the regressor has already thrown in the towel. He explains that a loser's greatest honor is choosing how they want to bow out without anyone else meddling. The main guy is super confused by this talk, but his buddy with the glasses ruins the mood by screaming that they are completely out of time. He warns them that the entire tower is about to come crashing down. Our boy says he knows the risks, but he just can't toss a life away like it's nothing. Looking totally determined, he runs over, throws the regressors over his shoulder, and lets him know he's not giving up on him. The little girl in the group is completely mind-blown by the MC's attitude. Caught off guard, the regressor asks what he's doing, since he doesn't have any powers or a reason to exist anymore. He insists that even outside the tower, his life just doesn't make any sense anymore. But the MC fires back, saying that even if he doesn't have a reason right now, he's got to keep going until he finds one. He begs the regressor not to throw his life away, leaving the guy deep in thought. After a moment of silence, the guy asks for the MC's name, and the buddy gets annoyed, asking if this is really the time for introductions. The MC shouts that his name is Kim Yuta and asks if he's happy now. The regressor repeats the name and comments that it's a pretty weird name. Yuta gets annoyed, asks for his name, and when he hears Lee Chan-woo, he mocks him, saying his isn't all that great either. Chan-woo says he has one last favor to ask of Kim Yuta. He summons a golden sphere of light holding the tower's power and asks Yuta to use it in the right place. The kid gets startled and tells him to get that thing away from him, saying he never asked for a gift like that. But Lee explains he's going to fade away no matter what, since it's impossible to keep his form together without the tower's system. Calling out to Yuta, Chan-woo's body starts turning into purple dust. As he vanishes, he gives his final order. Yuta needs to figure out a way to get back to his original world. Yuta screams his name in desperation while holding on to the leftover power. A final alert pops up warning that the tower will be wiped out in 1 second and all data will be totally deleted. The whole structure collapses and bursts into some dark, shadowy energy. In the end, a notification confirms that Tower 312 is officially history. Somewhere else, a white-haired woman watches the disaster unfold on a screen while chilling on her throne. She stays quiet for a second, rocking a super serious expression. With a cynical little smirk, she notes that one tower bites the dust, and this unstacked player is going to have to grind a whole lot harder. Out in the forest, the tower crumbles into purple energy dust while the system confirms the data wipe. Watching the remains vanish into thin air, the MC points out that there's absolutely nothing left. He stares at the golden glow in his hand and wonders if the regressor's fate was sealed the moment his status broke. He remembers that when a status shatters, the player is supposed to vanish on the spot, so he should have been long gone by now. Amidst the reflections of broken glass, the main guy questions why he's still in one piece, completely unlike Lee Chan-woo. Staring at the power in his hand, he suspects the system is still glued to him somehow. The hulking dude walks up and asks why he's looking so incredibly gloomy. The big guy wants to know if all this seriousness is because the spirit user faded away. He pokes fun at Yuta being so sensitive, and the MC, totally confused, asks if he's about to sit through another lecture. The kid explains he can't get Lee Chan-woo out of his head and feels bad for him, sharing that the guy's last wish was for him to use that power to go back to his own world. Not knowing what on earth to do with it, Yuta decides to pass the buck and hands the golden power over to the hulking dude. He says that for some reason, he feels like this is the only right thing to do. The big guy takes the item and recognizes that woman's energy, mentioning that maybe this will help break the seal on his Dantian. The MC gets all hyped up and asks if the guy is going to get his full power back, but he bursts his bubble right away, letting him know only a fraction is returning. The hulking dude explains that even though the energy is the same as the woman's, it isn't strong enough to shatter the seal she slapped onto his Dantian. Yuta takes the cue to ask what in the world this Dantian thing he keeps talking about actually is. He even drops the fact that the guy is already ridiculously strong even without that stuff. The big guy reveals that the strength he uses right now is purely external, meaning it's literally just muscle and bone. Hearing this, the MC and the girl freeze. He realizes his buddy faced off against Eshia using just his bare hands and concludes the guy is an absolute monster. With a dead serious look, the hulking dude states that if he gets his Dantian back, he'll be able to tap into his internal energy. He explains that this energy uses the body's ki to unleash power that goes way beyond normal physical strength. The main guy's eyes go wide and he asks if that's some kind of magic skill. Then the kid starts doing the math. The guy was already insanely strong even without a status window to guide him. He starts wondering that if the man can punch right through status windows and towers, what would his level be if he actually had numbers and stats? His partner asks what he's thinking so hard about, and Yuta admits he was trying to figure out just how overpowered the big guy really is. The hulking dude overhears and gets annoyed, telling him to stop measuring strength with such lame numbers and concepts. The MC and the girl jump in surprise. He mutters that the guy has ears like a hawk and confirms it he's seriously a monster. So, Yuta asks the big guy what true strength actually is in his eyes. The man just calls him an idiot. Raising his hand, he starts giving a masterclass on what it means to be truly strong. He clenches his fist tight and says that strength is the direct result of the blood and sweat you pour into it. With a rock-solid stare, he claims that power is just the byproduct of a ton of training and raw, gritty effort. He gives an example. If he trains 1,000 punches a day to get strong, but someone else trains 1,001, does that make him any weaker? He stomps the ground and shouts, "No way." What really matters, according to him, isn't the 1,000 punches, but the drive and willpower you put into every single strike. In other words, it's all about putting your heart and soul on the line to grab what you want. He declares that what you earn through that process is the only strength that truly counts. To prove it, he throws a punch at the air with so much juice that it looks like space itself is cracking right in front of him. The shockwave rips through the forest and clears out a massive corridor of destruction right through the trees. The MC and his companion just stand there like statues, jaws on the floor and sweating bullets over how insanely overpowered that was. After wrapping up his little demo, the hulking dude asks if the main guy finally got the message. He looks at the golden glow in his hand and says that either way, the problem right now is figuring out how to actually use this new power he just got. The scene cuts to a rocky mountain landscape in a totally different place. The big guy asks if it's Yuta's first time there, and the kid nods, blaming someone for breaking his status window before he could beat the tower. He also mentions he thought the game would just be over as soon as he reached the top of the tower. The man replies that he totally gets how things work around here. Right after that, he glances sideways and wonders if that guy might know a thing or two. The MC is lost, having zero clue who he is talking about. The big guy wonders out loud if this mysterious dude is also after that power. Out of nowhere, he yells into the void, telling the intruder to quit hiding and show their face already. Suddenly, a mysterious figure pops up in front of them a little ways off. It's a warrior rocking a skull mask. The MC wonders if it's a leftover monster from the tower, but notices there isn't any red aura around him. The hulking dude glares at the newcomer and demands to know who he is. The masked guy stays quiet, just staring down the group. The big guy starts laughing and says that since he's not going to talk, he might as well just bring it on. Without a second thought, the masked warrior charges in full throttle for an attack. He readies a giant axe that's glowing with some dark purple energy, but the hulking dude blocks the hit with just one hand, not even breaking a sweat. The MC and the girl go into shock all over again, completely stunned by how easily he brushed it off. The muscle-bound guy simply tosses the warrior into the air, and the ground basically explodes from the impact. With his eyes glowing pink, the enemy steadies himself in midair and just mutters the name of his weapon, Ox. The big guy grabs the axe that was left on the ground and hurls it right back with some absolutely ridiculous strength. The weapon slams into the ground and sets off a colossal purple explosion that just obliterates everything nearby. When the dust settles, there's nothing left but a dark puddle right in the middle of the crater. The MC sees the big guy holding the axe, checking out the blade while a few cuts mark up his arm. He even gives the opponent some props, saying the dude's fighting stance was pretty solid. The masked warrior stays totally mute, just watching everything unfold. The big guy, with his hand still a bit scuffed up, drops a butt, sounding exactly like he's about to ruin the fun. The masked guy looks like he can't believe his eyes, completely dumbfounded. The hulking dude lets him know that a wimpy attack like that doesn't even tickle him. Right as that, he launches a devastating punch straight toward his opponent. The impact creates a massive shockwave that sweeps across the entire battlefield. Sporting an ironic grin, the big guy tells the other dude to try just a little bit harder next time. From the middle of the smoke and debris, an angry voice screams out that he's not going to let this slide. Out of the shadows, a figure with glowing eyes emerges, promising eternal payback. The main guy recognizes the figure and his jaw hits the floor, completely in disbelief. All of a sudden, a totally beat-up blonde guy pops out screaming, demanding to know why they wrecked his tower. The MC stutters, trying to explain that, yet it did knock down a tower, but his partner chimes in that there's no way to know if it was his tower specifically. The blonde guy is literally shaking with hatred, his face practically boiling over with rage. He yells at them to cut the nonsense, since he saw them smashing everything with his own two eyes. Totally losing his mind, he demands to know who they are and what's the deal with destroying other people's towers. The big guy cuts the chatter, saying that if it wasn't for them, the blonde dude interrupts, complaining that because of them he ended up wandering around that deserted wasteland for 2 whole years. He screams that he could have been back home by now, but his rant gets cut short by a swift smack to the face. With the guy knocked flat on the ground, the big dude warns him that losers talk way too much and should just keep their mouths shut. The MC just stands there watching, completely lost by this crazy plot twist. The scene shifts to a super chill sunset with the sky glowing all orange. Now on his knees, the man apologizes for messing up, saying he almost hurt the crew by mistake. He bows down and doubles down on how truly sorry he is for the misunderstanding. The MC and his friend tell him it's all good and tell the guy to get up, seeing as it was an honest mistake. Then the kid points out how insane it is that he managed to reach the top with stats like those. He asks Karina to pull up her status window one more time. She agrees and makes the blue screen float right in front of everybody. The screen shows that Karina is level 86, but her strength and agility are sitting at level 1, with 86 million unused points just chilling there. The main guy looks at that and can't wrap his head around how she beat the tower without spending a single stat point. He thinks to himself that her stats are basically at beginner levels, and wonders if she's just as much of a beast as the big guy to make up for it. The kid asks if there really wasn't anything at the top, and she confirms the place was a total ghost town. She explains that not even monsters showed up, as something super weird went down there. Karina recalls getting an insufficient stats error, and right after that, the tower just started turning into dust. The MC figures that this system error has got to have Ishia's fingerprints all over it. Karina is totally out of the loop and asks who this Ishia chick he mentioned is. He explains that she's the one who handed out the powers and the status windows, and that they're hunting her down so they can get back home. Hearing that, Karina looks over and suspects that that person must be tangled up in this mess too. She points at the hulking dude who's over there meditating with the golden glow and asks what he's cooking up. The MC shrugs and replies that he doesn't have the faintest clue what the guy is doing. Meanwhile, the big guy channels all that golden energy right between his hands. The artifact starts spinning and glowing with an absolutely insane amount of power. Suddenly, a massive pillar of light shoots up into the sky, cracking the ground all around them. The MC and his companion cover their eyes, and he wonders what kind of crazy stunt that is. The light fades down to reveal the hulking dude with his eyes glowing bright blue, all tangled up in these crazy energy chains. Karina and the MC's jaws hit the floor. She just can't understand how getting a simple Dantian back can make so much noise. Suddenly, the main guy feels an insane spike of pain in his head, like he just took a direct shock to the brain. He screams in pain as his eye starts glowing gold and his head feels like it's going to burst. In the middle of his trance, he sees a giant castle getting totally pulverized by a colossal explosion. The vision keeps going with the entire structure crumbling down amidst the fire and smoke. Right after that, the silhouette of a being made of pure golden light invades his mind. He hears a woman's desperate scream echoing in the back of his mind, snapping back to reality. The MC wonders where those memories came from and why that woman's face looked so darn familiar. Meanwhile, the hulking dude finishes his meditation, and the dust settles as the energy fades away. He checks out his own hand and grumbles that his ki is flowing again, but it's still just a tiny drop in the bucket. He realizes he's going to need a whole lot more of that power to bust that Dantian seal wide open once and for all. It dawns on him that to break the lockdown that woman put on him, he needs to use her very own power against her. With a smirk on his face, he notes that this little game just got a lot more interesting. He announces that he just found the golden ticket. If he hunts down these auras, he can completely restore his Dantian. Wasting no time, he calls the MC over and tells the crew to march straight to the next tower. But the main guy questions the whole idea, pointing out that not every tower has an heir with that kind of power. He explains that some towers might just be totally empty without any successor lined up yet, but their partner cuts the chatter, letting them know she knows exactly where to go. The MC jumps back in surprise when he sees her appearance completely changed out of nowhere. The girl is now tiny, super cute, and glowing with a purple aura. She admits she has no clue what just went down, but now her senses are dialed up to 11. She explains she can track down every single drop of power scattered all across that world. Because of that, she volunteers to be the squad's personal compass from here on out. Bursting with confidence, she points the way and guarantees she'll lead them straight to the next successor. The scene cuts to a creepy gothic castle blanketed by the night. The windows are glowing with a spooky pink light, practically screaming that this next challenge isn't going to be a walk in the park. Inside, some dude in dress shoes is walking down a super gloomy hallway. The camera focuses on a white-haired elf rocking a suit and a monocle, looking like he woke up on the wrong side of the bed. He kicks off his report saying that the Demon King's monthly harvest in the Jabalaram fields is totally secured. He also gives a heads up that the Dark Mine is going to deliver its gold quota right on schedule. Sitting on his throne, the Demon King just lets out a bored while listening to it all. But soon enough he breaks into a huge grin, totally hyped at the thought of racking up 1 million coins in no time. He dismisses the elf, named Graydon, saying he's worked hard enough and can go take a breather. Graydon stops in his tracks and mentions he's got one more really weird piece of business to report. The Demon King leans in, super curious to hear what it's all about. In that massive hall, the elf gets ready to drop the bomb on his boss. He shares that a guard on the east wall bumped into a group of total strangers. Graydon says that after analyzing the situation, he's already got a pretty solid hunch. He firmly believes a brand new batch of heroes just spawned right in the demon world. The Demon King gets furious and grumbles, asking if these guys are ever going to learn their lesson. But he quickly lets out a defiant shout, swearing that nobody sets foot in his castle, just as the MC's crew shows up at the spot. Suddenly, the system chimes in to confirm Karina's status and warns them they are being warped straight into Tower Number 8. They pop up in the courtyard and the MC is totally baffled, wondering how they waltzed into the tower so easily. He chuckles, noting that having a status window really makes life a breeze, but the big guy calls him a pathetic punk and says he's still just a weakling. The hulking dude says he has zero time for chit-chat and needs to fix his Dantian right this second. He turns to the tiny guide and asks where the successor they came for is hiding. The girl points straight ahead and starts explaining that their target is holed up right over there inside that fancy castle. Inside the castle walls, a guard reports that the hero Evan just got his claw cleaned by the Demon King all over again. The king completely loses his cool on the throne and yells, demanding to know how much longer it's going to take for this Evan guy to actually win a fight. The hero Evan apologizes, claiming he was super close, but his gear totally gave out at the worst possible moment. He slaps on a smile and suggests that with a better set of gear, he's guaranteed to bring home the win next time. The king skeptically reminds him that he already handed over the top-tier items months ago, but Evan brushes it off, saying those weapons just weren't his style. One of the hero's party members jumps in to ask for some new holy relics, claiming the team's sacred power is running on fumes. The monarch is absolutely boiling with rage, completely stunned by the sheer nerve of that whole crew. He leaps up from his throne and screams that Evan James is officially stripped of his hero title. As the guards surround Evan, the king officially hands down a permanent banishment. 258. Evan tries to argue his case, laughing and claiming that this time is totally different because he's got a secret weapon. But the king shuts that down fast, yelling that he knows perfectly well Evan just uses the excuse of hunting the Demon King so he can burn through the kingdom's gold. He lays down an ultimatum. If Evan doesn't bounce on his own, he's going to be taken out of the picture right then and there. The hero totally drops his cool act and complains about how unfair this is after everything he's done for the country. All of a sudden, the wall just explodes, sending guards and Evan flying everywhere. The soldiers go into full-blown panic mode, with no clue what in the world is going on. The big guy gets into fighting stance, thinking the Demon King's army just ambushed them. But the tiny guide points straight at Evan and lets them know that the successor's power is rolling right off of him. The hulking dude charges right at the hero, telling him to hand over the power if he wants to stay in one piece. A guard steps right in the middle, screaming at the top of his lungs, ordering the others to lock up the intruder. The guard threatens him with the ultimate penalty for crashing the royal hall, but he just ends up eating a punch to the face. With just one swing, the big guy sends the soldiers flying, leaving Evan with his jaw practically glued to the floor. The king watches the whole thing unfold, suddenly super interested in this crazy plot twist. He wonders who on earth this guy is, taking down elite guards with a single punch like it's absolutely nothing. Evan, meanwhile, flashes a super cynical grin. He grabs onto the big guy and shouts to the king that these guys are his so-called secret weapon. Evan swears up and down that they are way more overpowered than any S-rank mercenary out there. He promises that with their help, he's finally going to put an end to the Demon King Belphegor. The hulking dude is absolutely fuming at the sheer audacity of this guy, totally lost on what's happening. The scene cuts to a city street just a little bit later. Evan gets tossed right out of a building, face planting hard into the pavement. The big guy glares at him, practically steaming with anger, demanding to know what kind of clown show he's trying to pull. Still on the ground, Evan laughs and says sorry, asking if they happen to be new players or successors. The MC stutters, trying to explain who they really are. But Evan cuts the chatter, saying it doesn't even matter, since he already figured out they are after that successor power. Flashing a super confident smile, he pitches a team up to take down the Demon King. The hulking dude tells him to knock off the nonsense right now. He states that he just needs to yank that power right out of the hero's body, and that's it. Evan lets out a little chuckle and asks if he really thinks it's that easy. He double dares the big guy to try and take the power by force, if he's so sure he won't completely wreck it in the process. The big guy gets ticked off and demands he explain exactly what he means by that. Evan drops the truth bomb. If the power gets ripped out by force, it just crumbles into nothingness. but he offers up a deal. If they help him clear his mission, he'll gladly hand the power over with a bow on top. The hulking dude was totally about to shoot down that ridiculous offer, but he gets interrupted. The MC steps in, reminding him that Lee Chan-woo's power was handed over willingly, not stolen. Evan totally vibes with that attitude, shakes his hand, and introduces himself. The kid replies that his name is Kim Yuta. Yuta questions how Evan can be so absolutely sure about the whole power extraction thing, but the hero just brushes it off and changes the subject. Evan looks at the rest of the crew and asks if they've got a deal. Karina admits she doesn't trust him one bit, but agrees that they don't really have any other choice. The big guy threatens to wring Evan's neck if he tries anything funny, and the hero just laughs and agrees. With the deal officially sealed, Evan suggests that everybody gear up first. The scene cuts over to the demon world, a crazy place filled with fire and razor-sharp rocks. They arrive at what looks totally like the Demon King's supervillain lair. The squad mentions that the place is absolutely massive, and Evan yells out, totally hyped, that it's finally time to face the Demon King. The hulking dude just stomps right on his own armor, smashing it to pieces, which leaves Evan completely scratching his head. He says all that junk just gets in his way and is completely useless. The MC feels kind of awkward, pointing out that gear cost him a pretty penny. Evan asks if the main guy is going to need some armor too, but Karina chimes in saying she totally loves hers. The big guy cuts the chit-chat, demanding to know where this Demon King is actually hiding. Evan explains that, going by this world's rules, they've got to make their way all the way to the enemy's castle. All of a sudden, dozens of missiles pop out of nowhere, streaking across the sky right toward the castle. The projectiles are zooming at crazy high speeds, leaving a massive smoke trail behind them. The crew goes into complete shock when they realize those are straight-up real missiles. Evan goes into full panic mode, screaming that kicking off the fight like this is nothing but a cheap cheat code. Up on his throne, the Demon King thinks to himself that this idiot hero still hasn't learned his lesson. He decides to shut down the party right then and there and activates his absolute masterpiece. Rocking a wicked smile, he announces the Demon Sword version 61, locks onto his target, and promises to wipe Evan right off the map. The missiles totally switch lanes and start raining down straight onto the squad. The MC looks up, confirming that yeah, those are definitely missiles heading their way. Evan screams in total despair, complaining that this ambush is totally not a fair fight. Right before impact, the tiny guide unleashes an absolutely monstrous purple energy. That energy whips up a barrier that blocks everything, going by the name of Universal Otherworld Storage. As the dust clears out, Evan asks, totally relieved, if everybody is still in one piece. The main guy is totally blown away seeing the guide block that many attacks all at once. Evan figures that, as annoying as she is, that's got to be the legendary power of a successor. He clicks his tongue, calling the enemy a total scrub and wondering if he's really just gonna spam all his best moves right from the start. Spinning around to face the squad, he asks everybody to get totally locked in. He explains that this whole terrain is a dungeon custom built by the Demon King himself. He warns them that the lava, the rocks, and even the trees could turn into lethal weapons in the bad guy's hands. He throws out a warning that absolutely nobody is safe here, and right on cue, massive stone spikes shoot straight up from the ground. The group scatters like crazy, dodging the rocks that are just exploding all over the place. The Demon King's voice booms out, totally mocking the fact that Evan actually dragged some new friends along for the ride. With a smirk, the villain asks if they seriously think they're ever going to make it to his castle. Evan grinds his teeth in pure rage and screams out the Demon King's name, Belfacor. He double dares the monster to step out of hiding and throw down face to face like a real man. He promises that no matter how hard the bad guy tries to hide, there's absolutely nowhere for him to run. The Demon King just laughs it off, saying that if the hero really wants it that bad, he guess he doesn't have a choice. The villain pops open a system screen, declaring he's going to push back with absolutely everything he's got. The MC is completely shook seeing a system interface pop up right in front of the enemy. He realizes, totally mind-blown, that the Demon King is actually a player just like them. The bad guy tells the heroes to feast their eyes on the brand new demonic dungeon he cooked up just for them. All of a sudden, the ground right beneath the squad starts glowing with these blue squares. The system chimes in, warning that the dungeon just got an update and the targets are being randomly relocated. They get dumped straight into a dark, damp hallway that's only lit up by a few creepy torches. The main guy takes a few steps and accidentally taps a brick that sends arrows shooting right out of the wall. He screams out, super annoyed by the stupid trap. Karina complains about the ridiculous amount of hidden gadgets packed into this place. While dodging an arrow, she takes a bad step, and the floor literally caves in right out from under her. The blonde ends up falling right into a pile of rubble. Karina stands up and asks if the main guy is alright. The kid lets out a huge sigh of relief and is totally stoked that she didn't get hurt. Karina stands up and asks if the main guy is alright. The boy breathes a sigh of relief and cheers that she's totally safe. Right after that, he looks around and realizes the rest of the crew is nowhere to be found. He puts 2 and 2 together and figures this place has got to be one of those dungeons built by the Demon King. Karina repeats the word dungeon with a massive question mark on her face. The MC asks if she's really never heard of that before and explains it's super common in video games. He breaks it down, saying a dungeon is basically a crazy maze stuffed to the brim with monsters and traps. Karina nods along, agreeing that the place is definitely a maze since they've just been walking in circles, and wonders how on earth they're going to get out of there. The main guy suggests that, for now, their best bet is to track down the big guy in Evan. He bets big money that the hulking dude is going to find a way to just smash that whole setup to pieces. The scene cuts over to the big guy literally busting a wall wide open with his bare fists. He and Evan are wandering through a totally different wing of that dungeon. Evan complains, telling the guy to quit knocking everything down because it's making it completely impossible to figure out where they are. The hulking dude tells him to zip it and says he's going to find the exit his own way. He marches ahead all on his own, leaving a totally clueless Evan trailing behind. The tiny guide, who's tagging along with Evan, points out that it's no use because even if they smash through the walls, they just keep ending up in the exact same spot. Evan mutters that Belphegor really went all out on the traps this time around. He whips out a magic compass, but complains that not even the Pathfinder can manage to lock onto an exit. He lets out a sigh, feeling like his dream of ever making it to the Demon King's castle is just slipping further and further away. Evan starts low-key panicking, thinking he's never going to see his kingdom ever again. The guide steps up to him and asks why he kept this huge secret all to himself. She wants to know why he didn't give them a heads up that there was another successor hanging out in that tower. Evan looks away, playing totally dumb like he didn't understand the question at all. But the girl doesn't let it go. She felt the exact same successor power coming right off of Belphegor, confirming that he's definitely a player too. She swears up and down that the Demon King's aura is a perfect match to his. Evan flashes a little smirk and admits she's pretty sharp for someone so tiny. He confirms that there are indeed 2 successors, and spills the beans that when he got the power, he bumped into another player right on the top floor. The guide asks if that player was Belphegor, and he nods yes. Evan explains he thought they just cleared the tower together, but the goddess Eshua totally had other plans in mind. The power got sliced right down the middle, and they ended up getting tossed into rival factions. One wound up in the human world, and the other got dropped right into the monster world. The guide is totally shocked, asking what it even means that he handed his successor power over to them then. Evan claims he didn't lie about anything, seeing as it's totally impossible to use a power that's only half big. On top of that, he makes it clear he has zero interest in actually becoming the successor to that tower. The hero reveals that his one and only goal is to see the Demon King Belial completely wiped out. The tiny guide goes totally silent, completely blown away by the massive reveal. Evan just laughs it off and tells her not to take it so seriously, since they've been chatting way too long anyway. He says he really needs to find an exit, but the big guy just busts right through the floor and pops up right in front of them. Evan gets annoyed, calling him super stubborn and asking if he still hasn't figured out they're just walking in circles. The hero tries to explain that they desperately need a plan, but the hulking dude tells him to shut his mouth and just follow his lead. The guy is super confident that he finally tracked down the way out. Evan and the guide are totally dumbfounded, and all they can manage to spit out is a super confused "what?" The camera pans out to reveal this massive spiral staircase heading straight up. Right at the very top, Belphegor, rocking a suit with a sword in hand, is watching the hero break right out of the maze. He decides it's finally time to roll up his sleeves and settle this thing face to face. Fired up, Kalina asks, "Are my attacks too slow?" Next, she pulls a massive machine gun from her inventory, daring the guy to dodge this next strike. RMC is stunned, wondering how Kalina's weapon just changed out of nowhere. But then it hits him she used the inventory window to swap gear. The kid still thinks that even with a different weapon, taking this enemy down won't be easy. Wasting no time, the mercenary opens fire, unleashing a barrage of bullets. Graydon dodges the shots with ease, sparks flying as they ricochet off the ground near him. Meanwhile, Kalina is already prepping a smoke bomb in her hand. She tosses the gadget straight at the enemy. Graydon reacts fast, spotting the object flying his way and slicing it right in half. Instantly, the device goes off, releasing a thick cloud of smoke. Caught off guard by the smoke screen, Graydon wonders what's going on. He soon realizes the plan all along was just to block his vision. In the middle of his confusion, Kalina draws a katana, slicing through the air right after she clears the smoke to get a better view. Kalina wastes zero time and swaps weapons again, pulling a battle staff from her inventory. She rushes him for a strike but gets blocked. The staff glows super bright, charged up with heavy electric energy. Right after, a massive wave of electricity blasts out, causing a huge explosion. Our MC's jaw hits the floor, barely believing how many weapons she's using in a single fight. He notices that her weapon mastery and combat power make his own stats look like a joke. Through the thick smoke, Graydon starts laughing, admitting he's never seen a player like her before. Pointing this out, he notes that she doesn't just swap weapons mid-fight, but handles every type flawlessly. He grips his own sword as it glows with dark energy, mentioning there's a catch. A purple aura bursts around him while he claims her skill is just a cheap trick. He gets completely stunned hearing what the elf says next. Even Kalina gets caught off guard when he reveals he hasn't used even 10% of the ancient demons sealed in that blade. He warns her that if he unleashes the sword's true power, her little tricks won't mean a thing. And that's where it gets crazy. Someone just smashes through the ceiling and crashes right down. Graydon doesn't even have a second to react and gets completely flattened. With a cracked impact, it causes an explosion, shattering the entire floor around them. He just stares at the aftermath, looking a little confused. The boss is knocked out cold in the rubble while the newcomer and our MC just watch the scene, staring at the guy out cold on the floor. The big dude wonders who he even is. Our MC speaks up, pointing out they got here just by wrecking the floor. With a smirk, he mentions that such a hardcore way to escape the dungeon is very on-brand for the big guy. Evan laughs, admitting he didn't buy it at first, when the guy said he'd find the way by smashing through walls. He adds that he thought the dude was just strong, but he's way more built different than expected. Cutting the chatter, the big guy tells everyone to drop the small talk. The guy also wonders what exactly this dude is and how he's tied to this Demon King. Evan explains the knocked out guy is Graydon, Demon King Belzer's butler and the second in command of the demon realm. Following up, he says every time they tried to raid the realm, Graydon showed up as the dungeon boss, blocking their path to the castle. Plus, things got even rougher when the elf hit phase 2, making his attack patterns super hard to predict with normal strats. He chuckles, glad they got lucky that the monstrous dude knocked him out before he could even trigger his second phase. Looking over at our MC and the warrior, he praises their skills for holding off Graydon alone even if the boss wasn't going all out. Our MC gives an awkward smile, saying it was nothing and giving all the credit to Miss Kalina since he just watched from a distance. Then, he asks if the dungeon is fully cleared, suggesting they should find the exit fast since the boss is down. Hyped up, our guy figures that if they cleared the zone, there's gotta be an exit close by. Kalina then grabs his attention, asking if he means that thing right there. Right in front of them, a door that was shut just a second ago is now wide open, glowing with a pink light. Our MC lights up, gives a thumbs up, and yells for everyone to head to the open door. While the squad looks toward the exit, Evan suggests keeping the momentum going and taking down the Demon King right now, but the big guy cuts him off, calling him a damn hero and asking how long they're gonna keep repeating this miserable drill. He's dead serious, demanding to know when he's finally gonna meet this Demon King. Evan laughs and cools him down, saying they're almost there and just need to hang out a bit longer. He explains that if they clear the next stage, they'll finally face the main boss. Politely, he asks everyone to hang tough just a little more, and our MC nods along. Except, the MC asks Mr. Evan how he can be so sure the Demon King is next, since he just said he was stuck on Graydon's stage. Evan just chuckles and says it's obvious, since the main boss usually shows up right after a mid-boss. Smiling warmly, Evan explains that despite his looks, he's a huge gamer, so knowing this stuff is just the basics for him. He asks if they're good to go, letting them know he'll be right behind the group. Actually, he tells everyone to head in first, since he wants to stay back and check for leftover traps. Our MC just agrees, saying he gets the idea. Heading toward the next stage, the squad moves out and our guy tells Evan to catch up fast. As soon as the crew steps through, the portal shuts, leaving Evan alone in the room. All alone now, he hits this creepy smirk and gets ready for his next move. He turns to the knocked out Graydon, asking out loud if he should finish cleaning up. A glowing pink energy starts forming in the palm of his hand. Right after, the energy wraps around Graydon's body, sucking him into a portal labeled Otherworldly Warehouse. It completely swallows up Graydon's body with this storage skill. After stashing the body, Evan just stands there in the middle of the room, glowing in this purple light. Flashing a dark smile, he wonders to himself if that makes 7D so far. The view pans out, and no one saw that coming. He's standing in a massive warehouse with dozens of identical Graydon bodies locked in capsules. Staring at his creepy collection, he calls out to Belzar, telling him to try a little harder next time. Upon stepping through the portal, the squad arrives on the first floor of the Demon King's castle. Our MC and Nova are pretty surprised, wondering if this place is really the castle. He excitedly points out they got here way faster than expected and they'll take down the Demon King in no time. Smiling big, he highly doubts the boss stands a chance against the monstrous dude they brought along. Our boy is dead sure that with just one punch from the big guy, the Demon King is gonna get completely clowned. But Evan cuts him off, warning them not to drop their guard, since even with their OP teammate, this is still bad news. He breaks it down, saying that even though it looks like a castle, this place is actually a massive dungeon designed by Belzar himself. Suddenly, our MC is shook, realizing this entire castle is just one giant dungeon. And the weirdest part is that there isn't a single monster in sight. He starts wondering if it's like the last dungeon, where they had to find some sort of anomaly. Out of nowhere, this glowing blue creature made of pure data spawns right in front of them. Freaked out, our MC asks what the heck that thing is, and if it's a monster summoned by the Demon King. But then he realizes it's not a monster at all, looking way more like test data. Echoing through the hall, a voice congratulates the heroes for making it this far, noting that not even his loyal servant Graydon could stop them. The Demon King warns them it won't be a walk in the park this time, since he already farmed all their combat data. Next, he tells the heroes to gaze upon his grand masterpiece, spawned by duplicating the data of their strongest fighter. Our MC is left speechless as he watches the data creature solidify. And just like that, everything changed. The creature takes the shape of a massive white-haired dude, identical to their big guy. He just drops his jaw, completely clueless about what's even going on, while the squad just stares down this exact clone. The real big guy demands to know what the heck that creature is, asking why a scumbag like that would even dare to take his form. He is super lost with the whole situation, wondering how there are now two monstrous dudes standing there. Honestly, he can't even wrap his head around how just duplicating data could create something so cracked. Without skipping a beat, the original big guy steps right up to his clone. He starts laughing, finding it hilarious that a puppet is trying to mimic him. The big guy then grabs the clone by the shoulder, asking if it can actually copy his power. Scoffing, he claims a mere puppet could never replicate his fist. Right after the clone lands a massive punch dead in the center of the big guy's face. With a heavy hit, it violently throws him backward. The clone just stares him down with this imposing vibe. Completely stunned, our boy leaves his mouth hanging open, unable to process what just happened. The big dude grumbles that something's off, since his punch can't be that weak. Annoyed, he charges in again, yelling at the creature to copy him properly this time. Both of their fists clash with some serious force. Then they just start trading lightning-fast, brutal blows. Ducking low, the clone starts charging up a heavy punch. And then, it strikes the huge guy with everything, though he manages to block the hit. He gets pushed back, but still manages to hold his ground. The copy gets ready to strike again, while the brute gets back on his feet. Keeping up the exchange of blows, they move at top speed with ridiculous strength. Shocked, our MC can't believe the clone is actually going toe-to-toe with the monster of a man. He thinks it might just be his imagination playing tricks, but seems like the big guy is actually getting pushed back a bit in this fight. Suddenly, Kalina pulls out a sniper rifle. Raising it up, she fires a shot right at the clone. Just as the bullet is about to land, no one saw that coming. A storage portal opens up in front of the copy, completely absorbing the shot. Swallowed up, the projectile gets stored inside this purple void. Kalina is left speechless, having no clue how her attack just got countered. Quickly, the clone uses an X-Spell skill and fires that exact same energy round right back at her. She freaks out seeing her own move turned against her, barely missing a direct hit. But the massive dude steps in front of the clone and glares it down, telling the arrogant fool to keep its eyes on him. Then he leaps up to strike the fake from above. At that moment, the clone summons an item from its inventory, a warhammer. It equips the weapon, triggering the hammer style, and it unleashes a devastating move called Six-Path Smash, landing a direct hit on the brute and launching him away. Our guy screams out, super worried about what just happened to the monster dude. Echoing through the room, the Demon King's voice laughs, claiming the clone's performance is top tier. He brags, reminding them he already said he duplicated their strongest fighter's data. Adding to that, he mentions that even if all four team up, winning isn't guaranteed. The boss tells the squad to stop wasting time and leave the demon realm, but Evan mutters that this Belzar jerk talks way too much trash. Caught off guard by the enemy copying his skill, Evan admits he really didn't expect things to play out like this. From this, he realizes that after all this time, Belzar wasn't just sitting around waiting for them. He then turns to the big guy buried in the rubble and calls out, asking if he's actually dead. Backing up what the Demon King just said, he stresses they can only beat this thing by joining forces. The brute on the floor just starts laughing, finding the whole situation wildly entertaining. Wrapped in a purple aura, he stands up and demands to know how a worm dares to mimic his martial arts. He keeps going, saying he has no clue how the enemy copied his form, but admits it was a pretty neat trick. Right after, he stomps his foot hard into the ground, getting ready to show off something new. Using the Asura Fist King style, he dares the opponent to try and copy this martial art too. The massive dude lunges forward with a devastating punch, using his style to wreck the clone, and the strike triggers an energy blast that completely swallows the fake. Except the clone is still standing, looking a bit shocked by the attack's power, having just lost an arm. Immediately, it spawns a sword right in its hand. With no hesitation, it raises the weapon to the sky and summons the Holy Sword of Asterion. Our boy is left completely mind-blown. He yells out, asking if that isn't his own skill. The clone swings the blade to cast the Heavenly Judgment technique, but the huge guy gears up to counter the attack with everything he's got. Firing back, he unleashes an extreme annihilation strike, throwing a massive barrage of punches. Both powers collide, triggering a gigantic explosion. After the smoke starts to clear, the aftermath of the clash is revealed. The big guy stares at where the clone was standing and claims it's definitely way weaker. He explains the opponent lacks the internal energy to use the blast at full power, but he follows up saying that for a mere puppet, that was already more than enough. At that exact second, a critical damage warning pops up on the system. Suddenly, the clone bursts with purple energy, triggering a final defense system and forcing max output. Our MC gets super confused, wondering what the heck a final defense system even is. Freaking out, he realizes the enemy is shifting right into phase 2. The brute sizes up the clone's new form, grumbling that it's pretty stubborn for a puppet. He stares the clone down, asking if that's its final struggle before kicking the bucket. Then, the copy charges in full throttle, wrapped in a blazing blue aura. It pulls an item straight from its inventory, and the system chimes in, stating a battle axe has been equipped. Jumping high, the fake uses the axe style to deliver a move called Earth Divider, but the monster's dude preps a heavy counterattack. He meets the axe swing with a massive punch, causing a blast that completely wrecks the place. The clone takes the hit head-on, and a system alert warns that over 50% of its data is corrupted. Shortly after, another prompt pops up saying the system can't recover the data. Taking advantage of the opening, the big guy grabs the clone by the head as it starts falling apart. Out of nowhere, a chain of error messages spams the screen. The defense protocol shuts down due to a critical error, and an alert confirms the corresponding system is about to be completely destroyed. Smiling victoriously, the brute says he's done with the mimicry, telling the trash to vanish. The scene shifts to a night view of the Demon King's castle, glowing under the moonlight. Back in the throne room, the clone begins breaking down entirely. Suddenly, a fatal error warning flashes across the Demon King's screen. The system notifies him that the player's summoned dungeon boss is fading away. Shocked by this, the Demon King wonders what kind of ridiculous skill that even is. He can't believe the enemy didn't just break the dungeon structure, but also managed to shut off its defense system. Belzar laughs, admitting it won't be a cakewalk while wondering where Evan even found a monster like that. He stands up, warning that he also cooked up something special to stop Evan in his tracks. With an evil grin, he swears to crush his plans with his own 2 hands. The view cuts to the castle entrance where the squad is moving in. Stepping up, one of the heroes announces they finally made it. The crew faces a giant red glowing door, the gateway to the final stage where the Demon King is waiting. He chuckles, bragging that he was right and they'd reached the end fast by going all out. Keeping the momentum, he adds that they obviously only cleared it this fast, thanks to the monster dude, who wiped out the leftover mobs with a single strike. He admits that without the big guy, getting this far would have been a major grind. Standing right in front of the door, Evan asks if they should head inside. Then, he hypes up the squad to work together and take down the Demon King. And just like that, everything changed. Evan suddenly stops in his tracks, looking around super confused. He asks himself what just happened and where the boss even went. So he starts wondering if the boss just ditched his own castle and bailed. Suddenly, an alarm goes off, warning that intruders were spotted and the annihilation protocol is booting up. Red light floods the room as the system states toxic gas is filling every zone. Freaking out, our boy and the blonde cover their mouths, with the MC wondering if that's poison. He can barely believe that, out of everything. The Demon King is using toxic gas, mocking them through a gas mask. A voice claims the effect is guaranteed and asks how his new Poison X tastes. Rocking his own mask, the Demon King warns that the second the squad inhaled the fumes, their fate was sealed. Blaring through the castle, an alarm signals that intruders have been detected. Right after the system chimes in that the intruder wipeout protocol is going live. Panicking, our MC can't believe the Demon King is actually using poison gas. The whole crew starts coughing, covering their mouths to dodge the toxic fumes. A voice just mocks them, saying that judging by their faces, the gas is working perfectly. Wearing his mask, the boss asks how it tastes, bragging that this is the power of his new Poison X. Hitting a button, he explains that the moment they breathed in the gas, they were already done for. A system alert pops up warning that the toxic gas output is spiking, and the toxicity levels in the castle have already shot up to 72%. Evan yells for everyone to hold their breath, warning that breathing the gas means game over. Whipping out an antidote potion, he promises to hand them out to everyone right away. But then, the big guy makes a move, throwing a heavy kick at the Demon King. His strike gets blocked by some kind of shield. Surprised, the Demon King laughs, calling the brute a monster for moving after inhaling the poison. He then wonders if the big dude is just acting tough. Pulling out a weapon that looks like a syringe, he gets ready. Firing a dart right at the brute, he asks how he likes this one. The needle hits his arm, leaving the big guy staring at it in pure confusion. Warning him it'll be rough to handle, the boss claims this poison is way stronger than the last. He breaks down how the target's arm will rot and their organs will fail, but the brute ignores the yapping and decks him right in the face, sending the Demon King flying backward. Glaring with disgust, the massive dude calls it pathetic and crushes the syringe in his hand. Flexing his stats, he reveals his body has already unlocked absolute poison immunity. Suddenly, a system alert flags that the connection to the control entity has been lost. Another warning pops up next, stating a critical error crashed the intruder wipeout protocol. And then, the system notes the protocol is being force quit and the toxic gas will clear out. With the danger gone, our MC chugs the antidote potion he got. Breathing a sigh of relief, he thanks Evan, saying he owes his survival to him. Our boy comments that the Demon King is a total psycho for dropping poison gas right away, admitting that without Evan's help, he and Kalina would have been toast by now. Evan just laughs it off, saying it was no big deal and he just handed out some pots. Bragging a bit, he mentions he packed plenty of emergency gear just in case. Staying quiet, Kalina feels a little embarrassed, realizing she let her guard down too much. She beats herself up over it, thinking she should have packed at least one antidote like Evan did. Turning to the knight, she gives him a quick thanks for the save, but Evan tells her not to thank him, pointing out the big guy standing nearby. Backing that up, he reminds them they only made it this far because of the monstrous dude. Nodding along, our MC says he knew the big guy was cracked, but never expected him to wrap things up this fast. Impressed, he jokes that the clear time was basically a speed run, while the brute glares at Evan and brings up their deal. Evan drops his smile, looking dead serious as the big guy demands his promised power now that the boss is handled. Then Evan flashes this sly, wicked grin. Chuckling, he promises he hasn't forgotten their agreement. Turning his back, he mentions that all he has to do now is hit the button to finish the quest. Assuring the brute he'll get the successor's full power, he gets ready to make his move. Right and cue, a system window pops up, showing the successor's ritual quest is cleared after taking down the boss. Following that, the system asks if he wants to complete the quest, offering a simple yes or no prompt. Staring at the screen, Evan gets hyped, saying he can hardly believe the day is here after grinding so hard for this quest. Looking back, he remembers constantly searching for new party members while the Demon King kept swapping the dungeon traps. He keeps venting, saying the boss fight was insanely tough and just thinking about that butler gives him nightmares. While Evan laughs about almost dying of old age trying to raid the castle, our MC calls out to him, looking a bit worried. Flashing an awkward smile, our boy acknowledges the struggle but asks him to just hit the button and wrap it up. Except Evan gets all quiet, muttering that the journey wasn't actually all that bad. Thinking back, he notes that whenever he visited the city, everyone worshipped him like the ultimate hero. Plus, he could loot expensive gear and items from the kingdom's treasury, flexing his name to get whatever he wanted. On top of that, he had a blast hanging out with beautiful saints, using divine power as a cheap excuse. Glancing back at the screen, he wonders if finishing the quest means all those perks are gone for good. Suddenly, Evan's eyes go wide, realizing it'd be a massive waste to lose all that sweet VIP treatment. Our MC is shook seeing what Evan is considering, while the knight wonders if he should really pull that move again. And that's where it gets crazy, flashing a manic look. Evan yells that since ending it all's a bummer, he'll just start over from scratch. A system notification pops up stating the successor has refused to complete the quest. Next, another warning drops, saying the successor's ritual task is shifting into the third hidden route. The system flags that all tower data, except for the successor, will be wiped, kicking off a countdown. Shocked, our MC demands to know what the heck all this means right out of nowhere. He can't believe that after making it this far, the knight wants to reset everything, wondering why he'd even do that. Smiling, Evan says he feels bad for them, but he enjoys his tower life way too much to just end the run like this. With this crazy look in his eyes, he admits that if possible, he wants to milk this tower life forever. He breaks it down, saying it was almost impossible since missing the deadline meant a boss win, so he found a workaround. The whole plan was to purposely trigger a quest bug so he could keep looping the tower over and over. Our boy starts panicking when Evan warns him that his data is about to get wiped out too. Laughing out loud, Evan thanks the massive dude for everything, claiming the easy reset is all thanks to him. Shouting out, he promises that even after the tower reboots, he won't forget the squad's hard work. But then, a massive black cube spawns right above, cutting his speech short. The object comes crashing down, forcing Evan to dodge out of the way. Stepping out of the dust, the Demon King returns, saying he made it crystal clear things wouldn't go Evan's way. Then, a system alert pops up, warning that the successor's ritual quest details have been tweaked. The next prompt drops a bombshell, declaring the tower reset is no longer an option. No one saw that coming, wrapped in a dark aura. The boss reaches out and reveals he personally patched a bug Evan loved so much. In complete disbelief, Evan asks how the heck he fixed a system bug with his own hands. Getting annoyed, he tells the Demon King not to make him laugh, claiming that's impossible even for a boss. Pointing out the rules, he states the only thing the guy can actually mess with is the demon realm itself. Proving him wrong, the Demon King traps Evan inside this clear barrier. A system notification flashes that System Overdrive is live, slapping movement restrictions on the current zone. Right after the prompt states the targeted player is locked in place for 10 whole minutes. Stirring down the frozen hero, the Demon King comments that Evan gave him way too much time. Breaking it down, he explains that all those tower resets let him study the system and its core structure. Just as he guessed, the Demon King says the tower was full of glitches, messy logic, and a ton of contradicting code. And that's exactly how Evan managed to exploit his precious little bug in the first place. That specific glitch let him loop everything back to the start without even beating the quest. But the boss warns him that playtime is over, since he went ahead and scrubbed every single bug from the tower. With his feet wrapped in a purple aura, he announces it's finally time to end this little game, calling him out for the final showdown, right here, right now. On cue, the system chimes in, generating a one-on-one combat space with the locked-on player. Following up, the warning adds that the combat space is fully isolated from the stage and outside interference is blocked. Suddenly, a flashback throws us back to a tower. Hordes of monsters are just crowded up in there. The Demon King shows up back when he was just a regular player, gearing up to fight with purple energy radiating off him. Wasting no time, he charges straight at the creatures, wrecking everything in sight. Looking back, he yells Evan's name, telling him the time is now, warning him that if they wreck the artifact, all the monsters will just vanish. With a single strike, Evan shatters the object, and the system chimes in that the colony core is destroyed. Right after a notification pops up saying the dungeon's monster entities are being wiped out in sequence. Watching the mobs turn to dust, Evan laughs, joking that the stage was way too easy. Bragging a bit, he claims that when they team up, there's zero chance they can't clear a stage. Struck with awe, Evan mentions it feels like a flawless recreation of the VR game they always dreamed of. He even wonders out loud if this world is just a utopia built specifically for them. But the Demon King shuts that down, warning it's too early to drop their guard since they have no clue what's next, suggesting they stay on their toes. Evan just brushes it off, saying he's not sweating it at all. Confident as ever, he claims that with the game developer by his side, they're practically invincible. Cracking a slight smile, the Demon King nods along, telling him he's right. Taking over the narration, the Demon King explains that, just like Evan said, they breezed right up the tower without failing a single run, mainly because this world was exactly like a game, meaning there was a strat for everything. He already knew most of the mechanics, from stats and skills to item drops and monster data. Thanks to his developer background, clearing the tower wasn't really a sweat for him. And just like that, they finally reached the very top of the tower, meeting the actual entity who created this entire world. Standing right there, Evan looks shook, asking in pure disbelief if what he's hearing hearing is actually true. Questioning if clearing the special quest actually lets them build a brand new world inside the tower. Nodding along, the female entity confirms it. Hyped up, Evan laughs at how wild it is, asking his buddy if there's even a single reason to turn that down. Yelling out, he calls it a golden ticket to build the exact world they've always dreamed of. He starts daydreaming about the possibilities, saying he'd be a player in his friend's world but gets cut off. Shutting that down fast, the Demon King says he's heading back to his original world. Completely baffled, Evan demands to know if he's being serious. Arguing his point, he claims that even if he goes back to that awful reality, nothing there beats the world they have right here. But the Demon King claps back, stating that no matter how harsh reality is, it's still reality. Following up, he makes it clear that whatever world they build here can never replace their actual lives. Leaving Evan speechless, the guy can only call out his friend's name. Noticing the clash, the goddess steps in, saying she has a proposal since they can't agree. She breaks it down, explaining the tower's reward, both the succession and returning home, only goes to one person, meaning if they want to claim what they want, they gotta prove their worth through pure strength. The entity firmly declares the tower's reward goes exclusively to whoever clears the quest. Snapping back to the present, a portal sits right in front of the squad. A system alert flashes, warning that access and interference from outside entities are locked down. Totally lost, RMC wonders what the heck is even happening, questioning why that scumbag of a Demon King just randomly came back to life. Standing outside, the massive dude stares at the sealed-off zone, wondering what in the world is going on in there. Out of nowhere, the big guy channels his energy right into the palm of his hand. Launching a strike straight at the isolated space, he triggers a system error. A fresh notification pops up stating an abnormal interference just went down, shocking our MC and Kalina. The kid calls out to the big guy in pure surprise. Heaping the pressure on the barrier, the big dude ignores the MC, asking what he's trying to pull. Another system alert rings out, reporting a glitch caused by an abnormal external shock, followed by a warning that the outside entity's interference just crossed the allowed limit. Meanwhile, inside the digital arena, the Demon King and Evan are staring each other down. Firing up system overdrive, the boss gathers energy in his hand, unleashing a blazing purple beam called Core Judgment Rain Ipsum. Reacting fast, Evan summons 2 magic circles to brace for impact. He casts a heavy technique called Otherworld, a universal warehouse mirrored gate, bouncing the attack right back. It flies at the Demon King as a swarm of projectiles. Not backing down, the boss pops another system overdrive to cast an absolute barrier. Laughing out loud, Evan calls the whole display genuinely impressive. Super impressed, he wonders how the boss manages to manually rewrite the system rules and build a zone like this. Flashing a wicked smile, Evan thinks that he's definitely the rightful heir to the tower's power. The Demon King then asks why he doesn't just inherit the tower's power himself if he loves this world so much, pointing out that he clearly has zero interest in inheriting that kind of power. Chuckling, Evan reminds him he already said he wants no part of that messy business. Yelling back, he claims his only goal is to milk this tower forever as a player. And that's where it gets crazy. The entire space around them starts shattering and cracking apart. Busting right through with ridiculous force, the big guy completely blindsides Evan. With a massive impact, it sends him flying into a huge explosion of dust and debris. Watching the whole mess, the Demon King wonders what just hit them. Dropped to his knees and totally lost, Evan hears the brute remind him of his clear warning, stating that since he tried to pull a fast one, he couldn't complain if he got killed on the spot. Begging the big guy to wait, Evan admits he knows he's furious, but asks if he's sure about this. Forcing a smile, Evan warns that killing him means losing the successor's power forever. Breaking it down, he says a boss victory means Belzar gets to head back to his world as a reward, leaving the tower without a single successor in the end. If that goes down, they won't just lose the power, but they'll all get wiped out along with the tower. Panicking, Evan screams at him to just take down the boss right now and claim the power. But the massive dude just ignores the yapping and swats him away with a heavy hit, sending Evan flying across the arena, coughing up blood. The big guy questions why he'd even care about this dumb quest and reward nonsense, making it clear he's just gonna rip the power right out of his body on the spot. Terrified, Evan screams that ripping out an incomplete successor's power is completely impossible. Ignoring the warning, the brute channels a heavy purple energy into his fist, launching a brutal technique called Asura Fist King style, Dantian shattering originalization. The punch buries itself deep into Evan's stomach. A system window pops up, confirming the exact name of the skill. Right away, a massive burst of golden energy and lightning wraps around the big guy. Following up, a notification flags that the successor's power inside the player is being ripped out by force. Staring in pure disbelief, the Demon King just calls the huge guy a total maniac. Realizing the dude isn't just smashing the tower's system with his bare hands, but actually tearing the power straight out of Evan with zero limits. The boss genuinely starts wondering if the tower's entire system is just child's play to this guy. Right on cue, the system starts going crazy with error alerts. And right after, it drops a warning that a fatal error has crashed the system, forcing the active quest to shut down completely because of it, leaving thick smoke to slowly clear out of the area. Dropped to the ground, Evan coughs up blood, looking seriously wrecked. Still smiling through the pain, he jokes that he knew it all along, but the huge guy's raw strength is almost comical. Meanwhile, the massive dude stands there holding the glowing orb of power. Fading out, Evan wonders if this is really how it all ends for him. A system window pops up saying the successor's ritual quest failed, making him think it was all for nothing. Shocked to his core, Belzar listens to Evan say that if he knew it'd end like this, he should have just let him keep the reward. He adds that if he had done that, they wouldn't have had to go through this whole quest in the first place. Disgusting quest rules, only wrapping up when one of them meets their end. Their absolute nightmare of a mission. Shifting back to a flashback, the scene shows the outside of the tower. In it, Evan declared that this round would end with his victory, planning to inherit all the tower's power to manifest the world they always dreamed of. Yet the Demon King just kept screaming his name, pure fury and frustration completely taking over his face. Evan yells back, asking why he didn't just inherit the tower's power earlier, pointing out that if he had accepted the quest from the start, neither of them would have to get wiped out. Dropped to the ground, the boss says he already warned him, explaining this world is just an illusion crafted by Eshwa, the goddess. Because of that, building an illusion inside her illusion is completely pointless and useless. He then tells Evan not to feel guilty and just finish him off, since even if they turned back time, he'd likely make the exact same choice. Finally, he declares that the true winner of this quest is Evan himself. Gripping his fist tight, the knight tells the boss not to be ridiculous. He outright questions if the boss seriously thinks he'll let the quest wrap up like that. Without holding back, Evan admits that even though he didn't want it to end this way, the quest's world looks just like the game they always dreamed of, noting that, as a player, all the dungeons and tricks the boss cooked up were crazy fun to beat. So he makes it clear he's gonna stick around, living in that world. Racked in energy, he declares he's staying in that perfect game forever, without ever clearing the quest. Snapping back to the present, the system announces the successor's ritual is closed and no tower successor has spawned. Right after, a warning drops stating all tower data is getting permanently deleted. Hurt pretty bad, Evan mentions that fading away like this brings up a sudden wave of regret. He admits that, if possible, he wanted to enjoy more of the game Belzar created. Lying there, he says that no matter how much of an illusion it was, he still really liked that world. The massive dude questions what's so great about a foolish world built by someone else for him to cling to it so desperately. Completely lost, Evan can only ask, what? Breaking it down, the brute says, clinging to a ghost on a stage with rules set by others, repeating a finished game, is peak foolishness. He claims a real man needs to live in the real world, standing on his own 2 feet, and concludes that a world tucked inside a cozy illusion can never become actual reality. Evan asks himself if he really should live in the real world. Chuckling, he calls the big guy funny, noting there's no point bringing that up now. His body starts glitching out as he asks if any of it even matters anymore, adding that, in his own way, he had fun, went on plenty of adventures, and met some beautiful women. Honestly, he considers it a pretty decent run. In his final moments, he figures maybe next time he'll give the real world a shot. Right on cue, the system confirms the player's data has been completely wiped out. Following that, another alert flags that the battle zone maintenance conditions are no longer met. And that's where it gets crazy. The scenery dissolves, and the brute respawns in the hall right in front of our MC, holding the successor's power. The final prompt notifies them that the player's one-on-one combat zone is shutting down. Caught completely off guard, our boy and Kalina stare at the massive dude's sudden return. They quickly ask what happened to Evan and the boss. Standing right behind them, the Demon King explains that Evan lost the successor's power and vanished from this world forever. He adds that they'll never see him in this realm ever again. Completely shook, our MC asks if that means the big guy actually. The boss confirms it, saying that man ripped Evan's power away, meaning the quest ended with his victory. Warning them he's heading back to his original world soon, he notes that once he leaves, the tower loses its system power and all leftover data gets wiped. He also mentions having no clue where they came from or why they were trying to grab the successor's power. But one thing is for sure, he knows their real target is the goddess Ashwa, the creator of this world. Looking dead serious, the Demon King steps up to tell them exactly where she is. The demon reveals that the whole point of this journey is Ashwa, the entity who created this entire reality. Right as the things get super tense, our boy gets a promise that he will finally find out where this figure is hiding. Completely shocked by the divine location drop, our MC freezes up, unable to believe his ears. Barely hiding his reaction, the kid asks how that stranger knew about his plans to track down Ashwa. Feeling an intimidating aura nearby, the demon glances at the stranger and gets chills from his insane power. In a dead serious tone, he says that creepy power could erase everything Ashwa ever built. Out of nowhere, the guy blurts out that he wants to destroy the entity, calling her the brain behind this fake world and the system trapping everyone. Admitting his limits, he says he lacks the raw strength to completely wipe out Ashwa's entire creation. Plus, he reveals he finally figured out the secret behind reality itself, blowing our proto away. According to the demon, this world is way older than it looks, meaning Ashwa did not make it from scratch. Hearing this massive bombshell, our guy wonders if the universe was really Ashwa's creation after all. Turns out the world was already there and Ashwa just dropped a system overlay to control everything, totally flipping the proto's view of her. Going deeper into it, those giant towers were actually her plan to keep the whole system running smoothly. Her trick to manage simulated reality was splitting that raw power into towers. Connecting the dots, our boy realizes he got played by this goddess the entire time. Beyond those massive towers, the guy mentions a giant unknown universe waiting out there. That makes the kid see that the system was basically just a leash Ashwa used to flex her rules. Looking over years of data, the dude claims Ashwa is hiding right in the center of the world, controlling every tower. Right as the epicenter sits the system source in the heart of the first tower, called the Administrator Tower. Our MC gets totally mind-blown and tries to figure out why a sacred place would have a tech name like Administrator. Since time is running out, he says he gotta leave and orders our guy to break into the tower to track down Ashwa. Full of pain and focus, the demon begs the boy to avenge Evan by stepping up to take his place on this quest. Meanwhile, the big guy confirms he already mapped everything out and does not need any reminders to keep moving. Even though the loss hurts, he insists that the real root of all this mess needs to be exposed for good. Sarcastic as always, he asks if that cursed woman was the one who dragged this big guy into this world. Ignoring the burn, he charges energy in his hands and swears the raid will happen until everything gets destroyed, including the Tower Witch. Wrapping things up, the dude turns around, summons an energy portal, and bounces. This sudden scene change shows the objective is complete and the next path is wide open. A break system alert pops up telling our MC to leave the tower through the portal. Panicking as the portal closes, the kid tries shouting at the big guy to catch a ride. Smirking, the demon enjoys the proto's panic and lets him know a free ride is definitely not happening. Leaving behind one last promise, he says if the kid tanks the pressure, he will get what he wants as the tower crumbles down. System notifications ping to confirm the returner ritual is totally finished. More alerts state the database got wiped, leaving nothing behind except our returner's data. Suddenly, a stream pops up asking if he wants to exit. Annoyed by all the trolling, our boy complains about stupid questions when the end is obvious. Losing his chill, he taps the screen and says there is zero reason to waste another second here. Making a quick chime sound, the system locks in the return, closing this chapter of his life. In a funny twist, the system congratulates him like he is just some casual gamer finishing a main quest. Accepting the wrap-up, Nim watches reality dissolve around him and steps forward without looking back. System text confirms the transfer back to his original world has finally kicked off. Wearing a calm smile, our guy agrees he is totally ready to leave all this madness behind. Thinking about everything, he admits he really wished he could bring that special person back home with him. Looking back at past choices, he feels if nobody was summoned here, nobody would suffer. Missing old times, he vents about how much things changed since fate pulled him and Evan apart. Fond memories kick in of playing video games with Evan back when the world was not on his shoulders. Right as about to strike, she shatters under crazy pressure, sending debris raining down from the sky. Seeing the wild chaos, the proto realizes the tower is officially total rubble. Nova tells little Ashwa that without an heir, the tower lost all its power source and vanished into thin air. Super confused, Kalina asks the MC where that tower the Demon King talked about is actually located. Our boy admits the Demon King gave a super cryptic spot, confessing that nobody actually knows where that central point is. Cutting the chatter, the blonde girl takes charge and drops facts, saying they gotta figure out the local map first. Powered by the heirs, our MC recommends exploring the open world since they finally got a taste of freedom. Taking the cue, the big guy gathers crazy energy in his hands, making the air pulse with an insane blue aura. Spotting something spooky and familiar, the kid asks if the process is starting over. The deja vu hits hard as old memories rush back while that energy takes over the entire place. A gravity glitch pops up and warps space, creating a mini black hole that shakes all nearby structures. Sparks fly around while the main figure drops so much power that space starts creaking like glass about to shatter. Reaching out, the mysterious guy's hand punches right through the barrier, shaping purple energy like he is tweaking reality itself. Glitchy code fragments pop up like an overloaded PC screen as he tries to keep the realm from collapsing. Digital panels flash weird symbols, warning of a system crash as everything breaks into floating geometric shapes. Eshwa shows up looking totally calm amidst the tech chaos, making it obvious she knows what is causing the error. Grinning through the glitches, she controls the data as the mastermind. The big guy looks impressive, noticing his drain plan on the magic wall works. Since the energy is not enough to heal, he checks his burning hand, needing more juice to fix his Dantian. Totally shocked by the view, our boy asks how much more power he needs. Locked in, the warrior says he gotta break the seal before hunting down the woman he hates so much. Caution is key here because one tiny mistake means that woman will trick him again and wreck his cultivation. Draining energy slowly is way too slow, so he points out this pace will never max out his stats in time. To fix the strategy, he makes everyone in the squad control a tower for fast absorption. Freaking out, our MC asks if pulling energy straight from the source will end up costing them big time. Upset, the kid wonders how they can even absorb that without a pro like him carrying the team. Terrified, our guy hopes Kalina can save them, but then faces reality that, without cheats, he is basically useless. Annoyed, the big guy smacks the kid on the head, calling him a coward for giving up on getting buff. Eyeballing the fallen kid with total disgust, he says the boy is not ready for those towers. With a clenched fist, he promises all this pain will build a much stronger version of him. Looking straight into his eyes, he says, training barely started and will make him unbeatable. Scene shifts to a quiet mountain view, which is a wild contrast to the brutal training coming up next. Totally exhausted, our proto lets out a battle cry, refusing to quit this crazy grind. Giving zero rest, the teacher blasts an energy wave, sending our guy flying while he tries to tank the hit. With a massive boom that shakes the ground, the kid gets launched through the air. Bleeding and dizzy, the proto feels the heavy blow and can barely process what just hit him. Trying to call a timeout mid-beatdown, he gets zero mercy from the master's stance. Crushed by the pressure, our MC whines that every single muscle feels like it is about to snap. Mad about it, he asks what is the point if it ends in 1 second without even drawing his sword. Disappointed by his student's cluelessness, the master calls him an idiot and asks if he learned anything at all. Straight up, the master claims that basic weapon skills are the least important thing right now. The real secret is studying enemy movement, blocking, and grinding till exhaustion. With a cold face, he warns that without total effort, the boy will keep getting beaten. After hearing that lecture, our MC asks if he should treat every sparring round like a real fight. Confirming that, the master stresses using any tactic with true intent to win. With a side smirk, the master admits the drive to win is what he wanted to see. Squeezing his sword till the steel creaks, our guy says things get serious if he does not apologize. Going with a no-rules mindset, the proto rushes in, ready to play dirty to touch his master. Noticing the sudden change, the master sees his student had never attacked first before. Turns out the master was just playing, landing a swift punch on the proto's face. Super frustrated, he sees every attack fail because of the master's crazy reflexes, punching him at any move. Determined to stop getting beat up, the kid decides to stop holding back his true power. Setting a trap, he feints a sword swing to bait the master's counter and dodges at the last second. Seeing the bait work and opening a gap, our boy feels like the fight is finally turning around. But the master lands a clean right hook straight into our prota's jaw. Shocked, Nova screams Yuta's name after seeing him take that nasty hit. Staying arrogant, the master brushes off the strike as play, though admitting Yuta's brain play was not terrible. Keep trolling him. He says the kid needs to step it up if he wants that to look like an actual attack. As night falls over the forest, our MC and Kalina chill by a campfire in complete quietness. Treating his wounds, his companion uses the break to put cream on his back, promising they are just scratches. Seeing him look better, she notes those cuts will not stop training and asks if he will grind tomorrow morning. Telling him to enjoy the break, she reminds him that the brutal pace comes back tomorrow without mercy. Smirking back, our guy knows his piece is about to die once the training kicks back in. Using the quiet moment, he compliments Kalina, saying she is naturally talented at everything she does. Kalina shuts that down, confessing she feels weak and wishes she had his natural talent. Thinking about his potential, our MC wonders what it takes to reach his idols and get true power of his own. That kid decides he will grow strong enough to wipe out an entire tower without upside hacks or Eshwa system. Opening up to Yuta, Kalina reveals she used to struggle with even holding a basic sword. She admits her lack of weapon skill haunted her for years, which got her kicked out of her homeland. Staring at her with curiosity, our MC asks if her past also includes getting kicked out of her village. Venting about the past, she explains her society was super toxic, only liking people born with natural hacks. Because of that, her village decided which weapon you would use before you even grew up. That kind of pressure forced young kids to waste days mastering just one weapon to perfection. Having the freedom to swap weapons was completely unthinkable in her hometown. Full of grit, Kalina looks at Yuta and shares how she found strength when all hope was lost. Despite all the hate, she pushed herself to master every weapon until she earned respect. All that hard grind turned her into an absolute legend who can use any weapon like a boss. Watching her with respect, RMC admits her willpower to learn so many weapon styles is insane. Giving him a warm smile, Kalina looks Yuta in the eye and drops advice not to let defeat get to his head. The real trick to being unstoppable is to keep walking and stay locked on the goal, no matter what happens. That speech serves as a reminder that every bit of work counts, proving the journey defines the winner. Morning comes, and the master's brutal boot camp is back in full gear for our boy. Increasing the pace, the kid says fights with his mentor happen all day to test his max. Taking hits became a normal thing, but his stamina keeps rising after every beatdown. By tuning into energy flow, our boy finally masters the sacred weapon without system stats. After tons of practice, the proto blocks a clean strike, proving his reaction speed is top tier. Without slowing down, the mentor attacks super fast, forcing the kid to use everything he learned. Testing his progress, the mentor taunts him, wondering if that block was just pure luck or real skill. Brushing off the kid's attacks, he boasts that not a single drop of blood will spill during training. Catching his breath, the boy shows he is not scared, saying he can handle those heavy hits now. Seeing the master's flex, our MC wonders how he can break that perfect guard and land some damage. Going all in, the proto fires off an unmastered skill, feeling power flow through his blade. Locked on breaking limits, he dumps all his mana into the sword for one ultimate strike. Unleashing Asterian's holy sword in a giant golden flash, he forces the master to brace as the ground shakes. That giant blast makes the surrounding area shatter under the raw power output. Even through the noise, the master stands still in the dust with scary composure. Facing all that power, he gives a cocky smirk, making it clear that attack was child's play to him. Looking at a tiny cut on his face, he feels surprised that a low-level guy actually tagged him. Pretty impressed, the master hypes him up, saying that power is enough to destroy every tower she built. The training reaches its peak here, marking a massive level up for our guy who no longer needs beginner tests. Kalina is not slacking off either and keeps up her daily grind. Holding her sword, she focuses completely with her eyes closed. Suddenly, she senses the exact right moment to strike. Insane strikes slice right through the trees like butter. Wooden chunks fly all over the place. Keeping perfect form, Kalina sighs in frustration, seeing she is still not at the required level. Feeling the heat, she knows she gotta surpass her limits right now to actually grow. The big guy gives props to her effort, noticing her sword skills leveled up a lot. Evaluating the strike, he admits she finally passed that kid she used to look down on. Shredding her skill, he states that chopping trees does not make anyone a master. The big guy teases Kalina, saying she is far from real martial arts status. With a quick motion, he makes the ground shake and shatter giant rocks. Laughing at her, he adds that even a stick needs real punch behind it to smash stone. Kalina stares back, challenging him to test her the exact same way he tested Yuta. Fearless, Kalina makes it clear she wants to grow and break her limits. Disregarding her guts, the teacher laughs and calls her naive for thinking she is ready. Instead of answering, the teacher drops cold facts to stop relying on gadgets and use raw muscle. Throwing a stick at her feet, he dares her to destroy the rock with just that branch. With a dark smile, he says he will only fight her after she beats this harsh test. 4 days into training, the sound of sticks hitting stone echoes endlessly through the woods. Completely out of breath, Kalina keeps swinging at the rock, sending chips flying everywhere, spinning the piece of wood super fast. the stick breaks in half, and Kalina watches the pieces hit the ground. Panting at her physical limit, she keeps her eyes locked with pure focus. Watching her drive, our MC notes Kalina does not know how to chill, keeping an insane grind schedule. Seeing that crazy effort, the proto worries she will pass out from extreme fatigue if she never stops. Worried, he adds that even hard workouts need rest days, otherwise the body breaks down. Jumping in, Nova explains Kalina is a special case since she is the only one still tied to the system. Even without full mastery, the system locks her progress, stopping physical training from boosting fixed stats. That tech dependency acts like a hard lock that blocks her natural power growth. Hearing this, our MC offers a wild fix, asking Nova to delete her system entirely. Thinking it over, Nova agrees he could break her system interface just like he did with his own. However, Nova warns deleting it is super dangerous since Kalina's life is linked to that UI. The entity stresses that connection is key, meaning if the system vanishes, her HP hits 0 instantly. Yuta gets terrified and asks if she would flatline on the spot if her UI got erased. Seeing the danger, the proto asks if there is any workaround to bypass that bug. Recalling his trauma when his status screens broke, he wishes they vanished instantly like Lee Chan-woo. Nova admits she does not have an answer yet, saying how these UI screens work is still a mystery. Cutting the conversation short, she warns that wiping the UI is not the way for the swordswoman to level up. With a serious stare, she hints that the master probably already knows about this whole limit. Breaking her limit requires a self-discovery journey that only Kalina can go through herself. Extreme exhaustion hits Kalina real hard after non-stop days of grinding. Furious, Kalina goes wild trying to break her limits while shouting out. She channels all that pain into an energy swing, crying out from exhaustion. Tiny wood splinters fly off everywhere. Pushed to the brink, Kalina asks how anyone can break a big rock with a twig. After thousands of hits without scratching the stone, frustration really sinks in. Comparing her hit to the master's power, she sees her effort was nowhere near his level. Pausing for a moment, she questions if strength is about more than just smashing things. Checking the broken area, she doubts if what she saw was simple force or a hidden technique. Putting the pieces together, she finally starts to understand real power. Noticing something weird, Kalina sees the stick the master used became super hard and stayed intact. Without knowing the exact trick, she gets that he coated the branch with his aura. Standing tall, she finally sees training is about way more than physical strength. Wanting to figure out why he is so strong, Kalina rushes in, trying to copy the move she just saw. Upon impact, the twig glows and holds up like steel, backing up what she noticed earlier. Meanwhile, the instructor walks across the ground without a care in the world. Walking with absolute confidence, he keeps his chill posture intact. With a tiny smirk, he sees that Kalina finally cracked the secret behind his moves. Giving credit where it is due, he calls her a real expert now. To see if she actually got it down, the master proposes an actual one-on-one fight. Grabbing a simple stick, he proves he does not need legendary weapons to beat someone up. Kalina charges forward at crazy speed, packing serious force and precision into her strike. Slicing through the air, her swing creates a massive shock wave. Even as the wave hits, the master stays completely still, though his wooden stick starts cracking under the pressure. Seeing her hit hard, he knows her attack is still not enough to break through his solid guard. Noticing her level shot up, he drops the stick and ends the workout. Determined to prove herself, Kalina says she will handle this alone while flexing a blue aura to master the Vajra technique. Nova gathers power in her palm, forming a glowing energy sphere. She drops the info that only 2 towers nearby can channel the air's power. Pointing at a giant floating structure in the sky, he says that is Tower Number 1. Right actor Eshwa points toward the second tower sitting far off in the distance. Reading the energy in the air, our proto realizes it carries the unique power of the successors. Taking the chance, our MC asks the master what the next move is. He even suggests teaming up with Kalina to tackle the obstacles together, but the monster cuts him off instantly, ordering Yuta to come with him right now. Caught off guard, our boy freezes, trying to figure out why he has to team up with this guy to raid the tower. Confused by the harsh tone, the kid asks why someone so strong would even need his help. Ignoring the question, the master states Kalina is already strong enough to solo her tower. Looking at how her MC developed, the teacher warns this team-up is not optional, or things will end badly. Demanding total focus, the instructor tells the boy not to miss a single detail of his moves. Out of points, our guy gives a nervous laugh and admits he cannot argue with that logic. Sensing the awkward vibe, he asks Kalina if she is cool with the plan or wants to back out. Glaring back at the MC, Kalina makes it super clear she is not worried about the danger. According to her, this is the perfect test to see how much stronger she got. Telling him to stop stressing over her, she says he should focus on backing up the master. Plus, she claims she is totally ready to smash anyone who steps up in the tower. Nodding along, our MC accepts the plan, fully locked in to do his part. Setting a meetup spot, the instructor tells them where to gather after snatching the power. Kalina heads off toward the castle alone, keeping the advice to survive at all costs in mind. Left alone in the clearing, she mentally prepares for whatever comes next. Looking off into the horizon, she enjoys the quiet moment before combat. Reaching her peak, Kalina follows the technique of circulating her own energy flow. Watching his massive power surge, she wonders how he learned all that so quickly. Explaining the trick, the master says it is all about funneling energy from the Dantian into the meridians without wasting a drop. On top of that, powering up gear naturally leaks extra aura into the weapon automatically. Kalina listens closely, processing how complex this new skill really is. Adding to that, the master points out her body already holds a massive mana pool. Understanding the game now, she realizes this control separates noobs from top tiers. Reassuring her, the teacher stresses that only brutal training unlocks a fighter's true potential. Drawing her blade, she gets ready to beat the tower creator and return home. Taking a combat stance, she locks in on reaching top-tier status. A blue UI window pops up for her, confirming the integration is complete. Another prompt appears, saying she is being warped to Tower 296. Teleporting her into Tower 296, the system sets up a trial designed to test her brand new power to the max. Meanwhile, our proto bites into an apple like he does not have a care in the world. Eating peacefully, he mentions the fruit is sweet as honey, enjoying the chill quiet before chaos erupts. He even offers a bite to the big guy, saying it is better than anything he ever ate. The big dude rejects it immediately, wanting nothing from him. Ignoring the rejection, our guy stays super chill and claims it is a sin to skip such good food. Looking around the zone, our boy remembers the Demon King's chat and notices this area is cut off from normal system interference. Talking out loud, he says, unlike easy virtual towers, this real place forces you to actually feel hunger and fatigue. The master agrees right away, confirming that is exactly how things run around here. Pondering the Demon King's words, our MC wonders where all the locals went, trying to figure out if this world was real before everything flipped. Even if Eshwa is a bad person, he doubts she had the nerve to go around wiping out everyone at once. Nova theorizes that maybe she turned all those people into players to give them a second chance. Struggling to buy that theory, our guy feels a knot in his chest, suspecting her true motives. Examining the tower design, Nova drops a heavy truth that Eshwa is using those humans as raw fuel to run the system. Flashbacks of meeting Eshwa hit him, remembering a creepy promise she made that makes him doubt everything. Realizing how messed up this is, he sees that even players are not safe, serving as spare parts in this crazy world. It becomes super clear the system has zero mercy and treats human life like disposable trash. Seeing how deep the lore goes, our proto notices Nova holds key memory pieces belonging to Eshwa. Connecting the dots, the kid gets that Nova is a core piece in this creepy setup keeping Eshwa alive. Wondering how he survived without his status UI, our MC finally figures out the real shield that kept him breathing. Questions pop up as he stares at the big guy, wondering if he is connected to all this madness. Arriving at the designated spot, he stops in front of an old building and wonders if the heir's power is really inside. Nova promises they finally found the exact spot where the successor energy is hidden. Checking the area with a serious tone, she admits the energy here is unreal, way higher than anything before. Smirking, the big dude laughs at Nova, claiming that energy reading is just a mental trick to fool the kid. Dropping a savage comment about how the world lacks meaning, he shows off a cold, confident smile. Initiating the assault, he refuses to tolerate anything standing in the way of his goals. System safety locks freeze up as bright red error screens flash, showing reality is bugging out around them. Suddenly, a portal rips open and everyone dives straight in. Flashing red warning screens declare that a forced teleport inside the tower is taking place. A creepy energy beam splits the sky and drops down, warping the whole area with insane power. Orthodox faction members show up full of rage, surrounding the woman accused of breaking martial laws and demanding her head. Pointing directly at her, one faction leader announces it is time to execute her for their belief system. A system pop-up notes that the forced warp to floor 1 of the Celestial Martial Arts Tower is complete. Official quest ping announces that the entering Jianghu trial has officially begun. This quest orders our MC to jump into the fight and bring back justice to the Jiangwu world. Totally lost, our boy questions the system, wondering why this mandatory quest popped up right at the start. Super annoyed, he complains that the system is demanding this right when his support software is glitching out. Out of nowhere, a loud voice shouts, asking who these random people popping up out of thin air are. Mad at the interruption, the swordsman points his blade at our prota and demands his sect name for ruining the fight. Staring back helplessly, our MC tries to digest the fact that he has to scrap without even knowing why. Losing his cool, the swordsman calls our boy a coward for shielding the woman instead of fighting. He accuses her of stealing secret clan scrolls to learn a skill banned 100 years ago. In a strict tone, the swordsman warns that the Namgung clan will dish out justice under Jiangwil law. Giving a fair warning, he states the clan's code of honor is brutal and definitely not some light practice. Flashing an intense blue aura, the swordsman threatens to wipe out both our MC and the woman if he steps in again. Baffled by all this honor talk, our guy asks where they got the idea that jumping into a fight brings justice. Knowing zero about clan rules, he vents that he has no clue how to fix this huge mess. Reading the room, he realizes the tower assigned unique quests to everyone, making it harder for clueless players. Thinking it over, he feels these random quests pop up out of nowhere just to ruin his day without warning. Sick of the talking, our prota decides the main goal right now is stopping this duel before someone dies. Cornered by tower rules, our MC confronts the swordsman, who laughs at his arrogance as the mood drops heavy. The master gets mad at the provocation, asking if the kid wants to die early. Playing dumb, our guy pretends not to understand why the swordsman is throwing such a huge tantrum. Seeing things go south, our MC tries convincing the master to chill out before the whole situation explodes. With zero patience left, the big guy says this duel does not matter, since he only cares about smashing the tower and taking the heir's power. Staring down the swordsman, he gets ready to pop a question. Keeping his eyes locked, he wants to know if he is the real heir of the tower. Laughing mockingly, the swordsman brushes off the successor rumors as total nonsense. Nearby NPCs start clowning our MC, laughing at his weird outfit and questioning his sanity. Ignoring the prota's excuses, the swordsman hints that the kid's arrogant look hides something way more dangerous. Trolling him, the swordsman hurls insults, treating the prota like a crazy guy who lost his mind. Doubling down on the banter, he asks if the prota lost touch with reality after drinking too much, giving a toxic smirk. The swordsman tells the prota to get lost, like an annoying drunk guy. Done talking, the big guy charges in at top speed, leaving the swordsman frozen against the attack. That heavy hit lands hard, but the guy manages to barely block it. Tired of waiting, the big guy warns he will wipe out everyone if he does not get answers about the heir's power. Blown backwards, the swordsman flies off from the sheer power of the punch. Everyone nearby freezes in shock, seeing the top Namgung clan swordsman get thrown around by pure physical muscle. Refusing to accept it, the crowd makes excuses, claiming Namgung Jinhui just slept on defense. Pure fear spreads through the crowd as a nobody easily cancels an attack from such a high-level fighter. Reading his movement, observers figure hiding aura like that means he is at the absolute peak of cultivation. Namgung admits his opponent is a tough nut to crack after tanking his blow with raw force alone. Taking advantage of the pause, the swordsman smirks and dares the big guy to fight without fancy skills. Heat rises as the big guy pulls a blade wrapped in blue aura, calling the Namgung clan sewage rats. Trying to intimidate him, Namgung powers up his aura while hyping up his clan's signature technique. Right after that, he dashes forward super fast. Shouting out, the swordsman calls this the second form of pure heart, claiming his rival has zero chance. Instead, the big guy just punches him square in the face like it is nothing. The destructive force kicks up a thick cloud of dust. Once the dust clears, total silence fills the arena while clan members try to process the scene. Namgung clan members freak out, calling for their leader as they digest the total humiliation. A minion panics, screaming and asking if that dude knocked out on the floor is really the mighty Namgung Jinhe. Frozen in place, they stare at the cratered floor, wondering how a single punch dealt so much environmental damage. Looking down at Namgung in disbelief, the minion cannot believe their top prodigy got wrecked by a random stranger. Our prota sees how the team's cockiness caused a disaster, leaving the clan's reputation ruined. Panicking hard, he decides to step in before his teammate loses all control. Yuta tries holding back the master, begging him to stop the destruction before the quest fails. Asking nicely, our MC tells the master to manage his temper so they can follow system prompts. Suddenly the screen goes dark, warning that the quest failed due to the instructor ruining their odds. Red system alerts state they failed for not upholding the moral code required in Jianghu. Reality warps around them as energy wraps the prota and the big guy, signaling punishment for breaking rules. System text notes their run is over, sending both of them back to square one. Our MC gets totally stunned, seeing the system wiped all their hard-earned progress. Without giving any time to react, the system reboots and warps them back to the tower entrance screen. A new alert says the Jiang quest is about to start, meaning he has to replay the entire thing. Looking at the lobby again, the kid spots a purple glow starting the countdown timer for the trial. System props set the main goal, making our MC jump into the duel to fix the round's moral rules. And just like that, they end up right back at the beginning. Super annoyed, the big guy wonders how things escalated to such a ridiculous level. Staring down the swordsman with disgust, he cannot believe the guy's audacity to act like nothing happened. Realizing how serious this is, he finally gets that clearing tower quest is mandatory to level up the squad. Connecting the logic, our Proto sees that breaking system rules causes a time rollback and resets the game. Mad at the game mechanics, the big guy asks, what is the point of taking orders from random blue pop-up screens? Having no way to fight the crazy rules, our MC decides to take advice and balance the morality score to prevent issues. Wanting that air power, he and his squad agree the only way forward is clearing every system quest. Angry about the trespassers, the swordsman yells out, asking who these guys are ruining his peace. Demanding their clan background, he states he will not tolerate interference in a fight to the death. Looking back, our MC admits losing their run because of that guy actually revealed something super important. Holding a steady glare, our guy warns that despite the ongoing fight, they do not want to use violence right now. Taking advantage of the pause, the MC gets straight to the point, saying they did not come all this way to watch someone die. He steps up, asking Namgoong Jinhui to calm down and hear out the other side. Furious, Namgoong claps back immediately, calling her a scammer who tried stealing forbidden martial scrolls. According to Namgoong, she belongs to the Black Moon sect, a criminal who broke into clan files and deserves zero mercy. Drawing his blade wrapped in blue mana, he gives an ultimate threat that anyone interfering will pay big time. Our MC jumps in as a peacemaker, asking the group to hear the woman out even if things are tense. Desperate to stop a bloodbath, our boy shouts out, asking if there is any peaceful fix without killing. Ignoring the MC, the big guy rushes forward in a rage and drops a heavy hit that shakes the whole floor. Totally shocked by the reckless damage, our Proto yells at him, asking what he is thinking. The big guy ignores the kid, mocking him for acting like a toddler obeying blue system windows. Mad as hell, he clenches his fist to teach the kid a lesson, caring zero about Jiang morality. With one simple punch, he shatters the system window into glass pieces. Out of nowhere, the game freezes and slaps an error alert across everyone's face, showing the quest failed. Choosing to ignore system errors, the big guy stays firm, making it clear he will handle things his own way. A red warning pings hard, accusing him of ignoring guidelines and straying off the main storyline route. Freezing the environment, the system confirms the official questline got completely skipped. Watching things fall apart, the kid panics after noticing the storyline disappeared, fearing total cancellation. Amidst the chaos, Nova assures him the quest is still running, leaving our Proto stunned by the system's resilience. That fancy landscape turned out to be an instance created right inside the quest by the mystery heir. Nova shows up serious, explaining that if the main goal dies, this whole reality gets erased alongside it. Our MC realizes that even with broken UIs and ruined routes, the trial keeps running in the background. Restoring justice to Jiangwu became the main condition for them to move on to the next floor. Bystanders in the crowd get mind-blown seeing the Namgoong clan prodigy get humbled by a complete stranger. Shouting loudly, the big guy demands everyone's attention to stop this circus. He argues that a death duel requires fairness and zero cheating tactics. Staring with pure rage, he slams the idea of fighting an injured opponent, calling it a cheap, disrespectful move. Spotting blood on the female fighter, the crowd starts questioning the situation, stirring up major drama. Upset, the swordsman shoots back that she is only bleeding because she tried stealing a secret skill. Showing zero remorse for her cuts, he claims death is her destiny and calling the fight an act of mercy. Throwing honor out the window, the swordsman admits this duel was basically just a scheduled execution. Sick of excuses, the big guy cuts him off, refusing to listen to cowards picking on weakened targets. Calling out the cowardice, he mocks the clan, asking if all Namgoong prodigies are as mid as this dude. Triggered by the insult, the swordsman loses his mind and angrily barks back at the remarks. Suddenly, Namgoong gets shut down by the clanmaster, who flexes authority and ends the argument right there. The arrival of the patriarch stuns the entire crowd, freezing everyone with his insane presence. Taking charge, the patriarch agrees that a duel to the death is serious business and must be settled by the blade. Adding to that, he points out fighting an injured opponent breaks the honor code of Jianghu. Facing the issue, the patriarch explains that a public unfair fight would get the Namgoong clan cancelled by other families. Dropping the hammer, the patriarch delays the duel for 15 days to avoid total embarrassment. Accepting the call, the big guy agrees 15 days give the girl enough time to heal up for a fair fight. Worried about delaying the fight, the swordsman asks the patriarch if there is any chance the girl might run off and escape her punishment. Laughing mockingly, the patriarch promises her fate is sealed and she will not leave the estate until she gets beaten. Chiming in, the big guy says nobody here has any reason to complain about that fix. Flashing a sarcastic smile, he counters that since none of them are part of the squad, this drama is far from over. Ordering everyone to stay in the guest house until things cool down, the patriarch keeps full control of the situation. Acting fake friendly, he invites them to make themselves at home despite the thick tension. Feeling super confused, our proto wonders if this peaceful resolution is legit or just another trap set by fate. Taking advantage of the break, the patriarch gives our MC a tip to swap out those flashy clothes before he attracts more trouble. Spotting something key about Yanhwa, the swordsman locks all his focus on her. Suspicious of the calm vibe, he stares at the group and asks why they are putting on such a huge act. Glaring with pure hatred, the woman asks if he actually had the audacity to betray her. Tension hits the roof as someone remarks that the situation inside the clan has gotten completely out of hand. Showing up furious, Namgung Baeko questions how they allowed a girl who tried stealing secret moves to stay right in the heart of the clan. Mocking him, the clan master calls him little bro and tells him to lower his tone. Scowling back, he sarcastically asks if the guy has no idea who he is talking to. Realizing he stepped out of line with a higher power, Baeko bows his head and apologizes for reacting on impulse. Explaining the call, the master says they spared her just to save face, warning that hiding a Black Moon survivor will trigger alliance issues. Even if mercy is noble, the patriarch warns that they gotta be way more careful about who they let slide. Elder Namgung Yul steps into the scene, bringing an aura so heavy it freezes everyone in their tracks. Using the moment to attack Jinhui, Namgung Yul claims he still harbors forbidden feelings for that woman. Inner Hall Master Namgung Baekyeom cuts off the debate and flexes his authority. Judging Jinhui's actions, he concludes that duel was just a desperate attempt to pretend the girl could still be saved. With pure contempt for the swordsman, Baekyeom says a successor cannot let feelings ruin the family future. Since obstacles must go, he orders her instant execution. Turning his head, Baekyeom asks Seola for her take on this. In a serious tone, Seola says watching them grow up helps her see how messy this really is. As the oldest daughter, Namgu Seul-ah steps up, her word carrying massive weight in the final call. Pointing out the facts, she argues that even if Yanhwa betrayed Jinhui, his pain does not excuse his self-destructive behavior. On top of that, she notes Jinori refuses to accept that Yanhwa's only goal was stealing the secret skill. Standing her ground, she states she does not believe Yanhwa is genuinely evil deep down. Hearing this claim, Namgung Baeko asks directly what proof she has to think the girl is not evil. Getting nervous, Seola confesses it is just a hunch with zero hard evidence. Old memories surface, showing how Yanhwa looked guilty every time she stared at Jinhui. Thinking to herself, the young girl wonders how she can ever pay back this huge emotional debt. Thanking the strangers who saved her, Yanhwa maintains a calm and respectful vibe. Offering a soft smile, our prota turns down any reward and asks if she is healing up okay. Curious about the lore, the kid tries to figure out what happened before he arrived and why they mistook her for a thief. Pushing further, our boy insists they must clear up the confusion about the demonic manual before another fight breaks out. Owning up to it, Yanhwa confesses that she really did try to steal the forbidden scroll. Completely shocked by the reveal, our MC cannot wrap his head around why anyone would risk so much for that item. That makes him realize the swordsman was actually telling the truth about the manual all along. Staying firm, Yonho confirms every single detail about her attempt to snatch the scroll is true. Having a mini breakdown, our prota asks how she could be bold enough to want something that dangerous. Ignoring Yuta's shock, Yanhwa mentions the Black Moon sect is not just a bunch of crazies, saving the full details for later. Looking him dead in the eye, she decides to spill the real reason she snuck into the clan. Dropping the ultimate bombshell, she says her plan was to stop the legendary heavenly demon from being born, leaving our boy frozen. Under the moonlight, two strangers watch the building as the heavy truth turns peace into pure tension. Shadows creep up in the dark, sneaking inside without night guards noticing a thing. Suddenly, a hand grips a sword handle, making the blade glow as it gets drawn in the dark. Explaining her situation, Yeonhwa says she cannot reveal everything, but there is a specific reason she approached the Namgung clan. All the movement inside the Namgung clan is just a trick to stop the feared heavenly demon from spawning. Our prota drops his jaw hearing the name of the entity she is trying to block. Hardly believing it, he asks if that is the same evil big shot from legends about the demonic leader. Staring at her, he processes the weight of a threat big enough to wipe out the whole martial realm. Giving a serious nod, Yeonhwa confirms his fears without a single doubt. Pressuring the girl, RMC asks why she did not spill the beans right from the start. Had he known earlier, he argues he could have avoided getting labeled a thief and ruining his rep. Cutting the chatter, Yeonhwa dryly says she never even got the chance to consider another option. Clearly the mission was top secret to prevent chaos, but as tension peaks, invaders strike and freeze our MC mid-reveal. Totally baffled, he tries to guess if these guys are hired assassins or goons from a rival clan. Watching them rush in, he panics because his master is nowhere around to carry him. With zero time to think, a bald assassin pops out of nowhere dropping a lightning-fast swing. Slicing through the air, the hit aims straight for our totally unguarded prota. That heavy slash kicks up dust, forcing our boy into a panic dodge to avoid getting sliced. Right after our MC readies a counterattack. Throwing a vertical swing, he gets blocked by the assassin at the last millisecond. However, the force knocks the assassin flying backward, locking blades with the guy. Our prota shouts out, demanding to know who this psycho is. Losing his cool, he asks why the guy decided to jump them in the middle of the night. Admitting his bad call, the assassin says he slept on the kid thinking he was an easy NPC. Laughing off his routine, the villain reveals this fight is actually a fun distraction. Hyped up, the assassin releases his mana, wanting to savor every second of the execution. Realizing how close it was, our MC admits that micrododge literally saved his life. Thinking back, he notes his old self would not have survived 10 seconds in this fight. In a clutch parry, our boy blocks a sneaky slash, sending sparks flying through the dark. Shock hits him when he spots another enemy sword coming while his blade is tied up. Pure panic sets in as he realizes he totally forgot about the second enemy on the field. Brutal hits echoes through the air. Blood spurts high into the night sky. Despite decent reflexes, our guy takes the direct hit, spitting blood and losing his breath. Seeing him in terrible shape, Nova loses her mind and screams his name. Capitalizing on the opening, the assassin jokes that his brother ruined his fun torture plans. Stopping the small talk, the killer decides to finish the job immediately. Calmly stating facts, he tells our MC it is nothing personal, just strictly business. Raising his sword, the killer declares the Namgung woman must die right here. A boom of a voice cuts off his speech, questioning the audacity of this random killer. The big guy strides into the room, complaining sarcastically that the killer trashed his place. Freezing instantly, a cold shiver runs down the assassin's spine as he realizes a top-tier monster cornered him. Shook to his core, he reviews the plan and remembers this guy was supposed to be dead. He cannot believe this beast soloed the entire Red Blood Mountain elite squad by himself. Trying to get a grip, he calls out for Jongdu while bracing for a fight. Drawing his weapon super fast, the internal hallmaster makes it obvious he came to wrap this up. Dropping an overwhelming strike, the big guy proves the assassin has zero chance. Stunned, the villain watches his plan shatter as he receives a cold order to stop the noise. Staring down coldly, the big guy warns that the stench of blood is gonna ruin his sleep. Shocked beyond belief, the killer realizes he lost half his arm from a strike too fast to see. Furious, he curses under his breath, regretting that his partner ignored the warning to stay away from this monster. Panicking, he sees the raid failed and knows he got to alert Lord Erie if he wants to live. Grinning sarcastically, the big guy enjoys the sheer terror in his enemy's eyes. Mocking the hypocrisy, he laughs at how the killer tramples lives but begs for his own. Confused by the mind games, the bald assassin tells him to stop playing and spit out what he wants. Maintaining his pose, the big guy lets him know there is still one tiny chance to stay alive. Dropping a humiliating condition, he says if the killer wants to breathe, he gotta get on his knees and beg. Feeling disrespected, the killer rejects the demand, threatening to gut him if he refuses to scrap. Gripping his sword tight, he screams that representing Red Blood Mountain means he will not be treated like a dog. Rushing in with a wild attack, the killer prefers dying in battle over getting clowned, even knowing one strike might fail. But it was all a lie as he jumps straight for the girl to take her hostage instead. Laughing at his own audacity, the assassin taunts the big guy, saying this sudden plot twist makes things fun. Trolling his confidence, the killer asks how he plans to walk out alive, acting like a martial arts god. Pressuring the room, the assassin threatens that one wrong twitch means lights out for the girl. Fast and brutal, the killer's arm gets completely torn off in a flash. Screaming in agony, he calls the big guy a complete lunatic for that unexpected savagery. Freaking out, the assassin realizes an invisible force hit his hand, asking in shock how that even happened. It dawns on him that his skills are nothing compared to the flames spawning from our prota's hands. Annoyed, the big guy says he learned zero even with a chance to run, comparing him to the failed Namgoon prodigy. Expressing slight regret over using force, he says he wished his room stayed clean but had no choice. Flashing glowing red eyes with an intimidating stare, he prepares to punish his opponent with zero mercy. In total panic, the killer admits he messed up big time, underestimating him. Seeing the level gap is absurd. Trapped with no exit, he decides it is time to throw his trump card against this monster. Betting it all, the assassin shouts that he will release his secret move to turn the tables. Asking in shock what he did that was so bad, the girl panics while our boy watches the scene terrified. Cracking under pressure, the killer drops his pride and begs for mercy, promising to spill every secret to live. Crying like a baby, he drops to his knees begging for mercy before it is too late. Watching the pathetic display, the big guy asks if he really belongs to the feared Red Blood Mountain. In a strict tone, he wants to know if all those goons are from the exact same guild. Shaking uncontrollably, the killer confirms it, admitting his connection to the guild. Cutting him off, the big dude barks at the killer to answer only what was asked without dragging it out. Terrified by the aura, the killer stammers out an apology, completely paralyzed by fear. Straight up, the big guy makes it clear he gives zero damns about anyone's rep or status. Yahello jumps into the chat, pressuring the killer to reveal why she's being targeted. Without hesitation, the killer admits the job was to capture the prota and his buddy, while the girl was just a random extra. Surprise hits the big guy when he finds out he was the main target all along. Whining in terror, the killer apologizes repeatedly, claiming he was just a minion following orders. Curious about how evil this dude is, RMC asks what he planned to do with her after wiping the other two out. Confronting the killer over the threats, our boy asks why the Namgoon clan wanted her dead so badly. Acting shamelessly, the assassin says their job is just following orders from higher-ups without questions. According to him, the only rule is taking the hit contract and doing the dirty work efficiently. Adding to that, the contract demanded total elimination of the target, no matter who got caught in the crossfire. Finishing his explanation, he says the command was wiping every obstacle with zero mercy. Listening in shock, our prota cannot fathom why there is so much hatred behind this level of cruelty. Doubting that logic, our MC argues it would be way easier to just take out the target directly without all this drama. Shutting down the debate, the killer states the client had one non-negotiable demand, revealing the truth. He says the plan was making sure Yeonhwa meets her end by a Namgoon blade. Intrigued, the big guy demands to know who is pulling the strings behind the sturdy plot. Following guild code, the killer says pros only receive coordinates and nothing else. Pissed off by the excuse, the big guy tells him to stop capping and drop the client's name right now. Connecting the dots, our MC realizes the whole duel is just staged theater set up by someone in the shadows. Thinking out loud, he asks why they turned a simple fight into an actual assassination plot against Yeonhwa. Slowly, he finally starts cracking the real logic behind all this craziness. It turns out this duel is just step one in triggering the birth of the feared heavenly demon. Watching from a tree branch, a stranger observes the whole scene, trying to digest the conspiracy he just uncovered. Staring wide-eyed, he gets hit with complete shock by the state of the battlefield. With the ground wrecked and bodies everywhere, the stranger ponders the absurd strength needed to cause this mess quietly. Wearing a cocky grin, the mystery guy asks if people know his title, boasting that Asura's fame reached this place. Keeping his sadistic smile, he watches from above, waiting for a worthy target that is actually worth his time. Midst the chaos, a report reaches the clan confirming guards are in position before the patriarch. News breaks out that several dead assassins were discovered right near the East Side guest house. Tension spikes as we learn the supreme guardian of the Namgoon clan is Cheong Mugung, a dude with crazy power and rank. Looking at the bodies, Cheong explains the attackers were destroyed beyond recognition. Because the crime scene was cleaned up, he wonders who possessed such high-level skill. A quick scan of the area confirms zero clues were left on the corpses, making investigation impossible. Pondering the mystery, he attempts to piece together the tiny clues left by the dead killers. Cheong orders immediate security upgrades at the Eastern Guest House to prevent follow-up raids. Flexing authority, he declares that while guests are on clan land, nobody will dare touch them. Answering with a simple simple yes. Xiang accepts full duty for protecting everyone. Following the patriarch's orders, the warrior takes off, promising flawless security coverage. Inspecting battle marks, the swordsman sees random cause of deaths, like snapped necks, indicating a chaotic wipe. Despite different fatal injuries, he spots a dark pattern connecting every single victim. The swordsman concludes these guys were just cannon fodder sent to test defense limits. Focusing on the killer's skill, he analyzes how the intruder possessed insane reflexes, predicting moves and ending fights instantly. Clear shock covers the swordsman's face over a power so absurd the enemies cannot even react. Getting worried, he realizes letting such a dangerous guy walk around freely among guests is a fatal mistake. Chen resolves to figure out the guy's true intent before clan war breaks out. Scene shifts to a peaceful sunlit forest area. Our prota unsheathes his blade with crazy speed. Precise movements showcase a clean, sharp slash. Taking a deep breath, our MC feels drained from the fast move and needs to recharge. Nova pops up suddenly, watching Yuta with concern and reminding him his body is far from fully healed. Interrupting his thoughts, Nova says they still have time before Yanhua's duel starts back up. Reflecting on his close call in the ambush, our MC feels the heavy weight of fighting those killers. The broken quest window disabled revives, meaning one wrong move is permadeath. Gripping his sword with resolve, our guy knows survival hinges on getting stronger. Addressing Yuta directly, Nova calls his name to make sure he gets the gravity of this. Taking the moment, our prota asks if she figured out who the tower's next successor will be. Finding the heir is top priority, he says, because without them claiming tower power is impossible. Unsure of herself, Nova admits she senses air energy but cannot track down the exact signal location. Disbelieving her words, our boy asks how Nova's radar skills completely missed the successor's location. Dropping another wild revelation, Nova suspects the succession ritual was already completed by an unknown person. Explaining the mechanics, she says this tower is unique because air energy is scattered everywhere instead of one spot. Freezing in place, our MC digests how all tower energy got distributed in such a weird way. Trying to wrap his head around it, he asks what she means by the strange energy spread. Nova reveals that every world inside these towers was built straight out of someone's personal memories. Continuing her explanation, she says each layer's fate is defined by the successor's identity, shaping the realm around their past. Before this, she explains they sensed packed energy because previous successors were still mid-journey on their quests. Staring seriously at him, she says the successor's presence is so absolute it coats every inch of the world in total control. Concluding her point, she states that clearing the quest turns a visitor into the very essence of that reality.